Hail and well met. Welcome to Isekai Realms, where we writers and creatives have been sucked into the realms and are trying to do our best with only the limited knowledge of the setting. And finally, we managed to get some training at the early part of this season. So I am Eric Scott DeB, writer, author, game designer, actual play streamer. You could find my work online under my own name. I am playing myself, although in the realms I go by Elric Thalavar, Paladin of Helm. Take it away, Ali.
Hi, everybody. I am Alexander Pitchford, or Ali for short. I'm a writer, game designer, and TTRPG streamer, and I am playing myself, aka Amara Valerian, as I have been going by in the realms. Truly me, transformed into a moon elf thanks to some powers granted to me by the weird, sassy shadow lady in my head. Uh, and I would like to tell you today about one of our sponsors, which is, as always, Idle Champions. Idle Champions of the Forgotten Realms is a strategy game that unites iconic Dungeons and Dragons characters from novels, campaigns, and popular shows into one epic adventure, including Farida, Havilar, and Mahen from the Brimstone Angels novels. The game is available for PC and Mac on Steam and Web, Epic Game Store, Google Play, Xbox One, PlayStation 4, Nintendo Switch, iPad, iPhone, and on all Android devices. For more information, check out idlechampions.com.
Hey, I'm Rhiannon Held. I write urban fantasy as Rhiannon Held and space opera as RZ Held. And I have two dice partners to tell you about. Norse Foundry specializes in metal dice. When you roll them, it feels like you're skillfully smashing the rigid armor of the monster horde. You can find their dice and accessories at norsefoundry.com. Phoenix Dice is named for the creature that rises from the ashes, because they use all recycled materials. You can find their dice and accessories at phoenixdice.com.
Hi, I'm Fitzwizzle Whittlebubble, and I will be playing Randy Henderson tonight. Yeah, I'm author of the Fin Fantasy series from Tor. Check that out if you like humorous urban fantasy. And don't you have a book coming out? Oh, yeah.
I mean, I do,
Sorry.
yes. So the thing about this is we're recording this. It's currently the month of April. I know you were probably guessing in the chat, when did they record this? We don't really know exactly when this will broadcast, but it's probably summer 2024 if you're watching this when it's first broadcast. And if so, I have a book that either did come out or will soon come out called Public Enemy. It is the second in my Justice Vengeance superhero series. So check it out. There will probably be an ad for it or a link or something. Anyway, if you do !JV, it will take you to a place where you can read all about that.
Excellent. Well done there. I appreciate a good plug. And I'm Chris, your Dungeon Master. We are back again for yet another evening in the Forgotten Realms, Isekai Realms. And when last we left our heroes, they were once again in a session at the Promenade. They had discovered some exciting things about the pit of Iguanodon, and we're trying to figure out how best to communicate that information to their hosts. We're taking a tour of the place, had acquired some weapons for themselves, some brand new shiny ones, and it appears as though, depending upon how they choose to react, they may have a chance to, show those off. So, more specifically, they were at a guard chamber overlooking the Sargath River. The party had split into two groups. Ali had gone south to scout ahead, the source of the noise and disturbance that they had heard to the south, and the rest of the group was gathered in that smaller chamber to the north, also overlooking the river. Ali had just yelled back up for help because it was clear that there was a wizard human, possibly, beset by goblins or kobolds, some ferocious small humanoids, on the opposite side of the Sargath in a chamber on that southern bank. So that is where we left off. I will ask the people that are in that room to the north, the three of you, what would you like to do when Ali calls for your help?
I would start moving towards it, and I would say, hey, before we get into combat, I'm going to cast Bless on y'all because 2E stupid rules say you have to cast this combat spell before you're in combat. So
Okay, great.
whatever we're about to face, I'll try and do it before we're actually facing it, I guess.
Would you like to sync that so that you're at the end of the group and it goes off just as they're entering the large chamber so you can catch Allie, hopefully?
Hopefully, yeah. Exactly.
Okay. All right, so I know what you're doing, Randy. Eric?
I'm going to do a similar thing to Randy, and I'm going to conjure my armor of faith when we get into the that chamber.
All right, you will have to describe for us all what that is when the time comes for it.
Will.
Okay, excellent. And finally, Rhiannon, what would you like to do?
Well, let me look at the spells, because I'm so used to 5e magic. So shield is not a reaction. It's just
Correct.
a regular
Shield
spell.
is a spell that you just regularly cast. It lasts 5 rounds per level, which for you would be 15 minutes. And it has a positive effect on your armor class. It'll create a basic like shield of magical force that'll substitute for armor that will assist you the most with ranged weapons, but every little bit helps, even across regular weapons. And it'll provide you with complete invulnerability for as long as it exists against magic missiles as well.
And it doesn't, there's no concentration where I can't cast anything else while holding it or something.
Welcome to second edition, where
okay, that's why I'm like preface that with I know 5e, so
Yep. No concentration mechanics. The thing is, however, that while you are casting a spell, because remember that we have that speed factor thing that affects your initiative roll. If someone attacks you while you're casting a spell before you get to act on that round, then they might stop you from casting the spell. So
doing it before we go into
buffing yourself up with magic beforehand is usually a better idea.
Yeah.
Okay, so the three of you are moving south, and as you're arriving at the chamber, providing the spells that are necessary to buff yourself, correct?
Yep.
Okay, excellent. So that leaves us with Allie. What are you going to do while you're waiting for them?
I don't want to wait too long, just because this person is in trouble. So I'm wearing the boots of striding and springing. How far across is the river? Because I understand they're on the other side.
At its narrowest point, you're estimating under 30 feet. Somewhere between 20 and 30 feet. Hard to tell you.
All right. Not entirely sure how far I can jump in these boots. I'm
pretty sure you've tried them out before at this point, which is why I'm looking at them. And so the answer to that question is forward jumps of up to 30 feet. So as long as your eyeballing of this is such that you're under 30 feet, and you're pretty confident that it is, as long as you get a little run going, you can jump right across that open space.
Then that's what I'm gonna do. I'm going to, now that I've made the call, I'm going to, back up so I can get that space, and then make the running leap across the river, drawing the rapier as I'm jumping.
So your intention is to arrive at this combat in style.
Yes.
Drawing eyes as you are coming to the rescue.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, fair enough. I'm not going to make you roll initiative because your action is actually going to kind of occur after what's going on the opposite bank of the river for this round. So we'll just sort of say you're going last this round. What happens on the opposite bank is that the spellcaster, because it's clearly a spellcaster, dodges a couple of near-in goblin, kobold, again, hard to tell until you're over there, spears, and rattles off quickly a spell. That spell creates a stroke of lightning that erupts from the caster's hands in a fairly wide, about 10-foot wide bolt, and just blasts through a horde of these things on the opposite side of the chamber. So a bunch of them scream out in agony and just melt away, or parts of them are thrown out of the path of this bolt as it lights up a path about 40 strides long and 10 strides wide from the person's hands across the room. As they light the room up, you'll get a little bit of a, oh, I've got visual light view of this person. Yes, it's a wizard. Yes, it's human. Male, dressed in very fine green robes. So, okay, you'll get a flash of that as the lightning goes across the chamber from you. And you will land in a roll on your feet on the opposite side of the room.
Ah, tumbling.
So that's you. The rest of you will come charging down that hallway, slow as you get to the end of it and begin your various spell casting. You'll see that flash of light on the opposite side of the banks of the river. You'll see Allie land immediately after it goes off. So Allie's over there. And you'll see that lightning bolt blast out and cut a swath of destruction through I think those are goblins. Goblins on the opposite side of the river. Please describe the spells you are casting. Eric, we'll start with you.
So, drawing upon the powers of Helm to protect myself and those in my charge, I surround myself with silvery armor made of hard light, essentially. It's very similar to what my character Shadowbane uses in those novels, if you have read my Shadowbane series. And it kind of like flows out of me and then takes the form of basically banded mail around me.
Excellent. So quite impressive. You've seen Eric do this in, your heads collectively, but you've never seen him do it in the real world, and here it is.
Yeah, something that I learned when we were training with our trainer for however thousands of years that was.
That was. Yep. All right. And Randy, you will.
Oh, I'm going find her blesses, find her blesses, find her blesses, find her blesses, because it takes a little bit of time to build it up, apparently. And then when we get there, I go, well, find her bless us, and
it will roll out.
It'll roll out. I go, whoa, shiver, and yeah,
it's like sparkling motes of energy that will settle the individuals in the group. Now, Allie's only about 30 feet across the river, and I think you can get friendlies within 60 feet, if I'm not mistaken.
I think it says 60 yards because it's 2E, but I think.
There you go. So Allie is within the boundaries of that bless. So keep in mind, folks, that this will assist you with, what does bless help us with, Randy?
Gives you a +1 to attack, I think is the relevant one. It does a couple of other things, but I think not probably relevant here.
Guide your hands more solidly. So thank you, Randy. And then finally, Rhiannon, you're casting shield.
Yeah.
Which is an invisible barrier that sort of shimmers into place as a sort of bubble that's the front end of you, right? Yeah. That automatically moves to always stay on the front end of you.
Yep.
All right. That is exactly as you expected it to be. So that's satisfying. Excellent. Okay, so that was the round. It is about to be the beginning of a new round. Allie, you're on the opposite side of the river. So I'm going to have you roll initiative. I'm going to roll initiative for the baddies and the goodies on that side of the river. And then I'm going to have everybody on the opposite bank just roll 1 initiative. So you can select which of the 3 of you is going to do that this round. So, Allie, let's just do you, me, and the folks on our side of the river.
Okay. All right. I rolled a 5.
Okay. And so, what would you like to do this round?
I would like to see if I can kind of. I'm gonna kind of close and try to engage some of these goblins with the rapier, just to kind of like pick off some of the ones that are probably trying to get to this mage.
The wizard cleared a path immediately in front of himself last round, but at the edges of that path on both sides be more goblins. So you want to basically end that flanking on that side.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. All right. On the opposite side of the river, what are the 3 of you up to?
Is there any clear and obvious way across the river? Like a bridge or like stones that one could step on?
No. because it would probably be dangerous to have a permanent path that goes from one side of the river to the other. Why don't you roll a 20-sided die for me, though, Eric?
I rolled a 2.
All right. You will note when you're looking around for an obvious path across the river that near the narrowest point, tucked against is it tights or mites that are on the ceiling? I always forget.
Stalactites.
C for ceiling,
C for
G for ground.
Stalagmites are on the ground, and stalactites are from the ceiling.
Yeah,
Okay.
C for ceiling, G for ground. That's how I always remember.
Right.
Wrapped around a stalactite is a dark cord, so like probably silk cord, with a grappling hook that looks like it's probably about 40 or 50 feet worth of rope wrapped around that thing.
Oh.
The idea being that the regular inhabitants of this place, if they wanted to get across the river, could conceivably do so by just simply creating a little rope bridge for themselves to shimmy across if they needed to. That's going to take you the round to disentangle and whatnot, because it's designed to be hidden, if that was your plan.
So it's not like hanging in the middle of the river. It's like on our side. Just okay.
And you've got
That's what I'm going to do. Yes.
Okay. All right. So you'll see Eric doing that. Those of you that are on this side of the river, and you can either choose to do your own thing or assist Eric, which will make it easier and faster for him to operate. So what would you like to do?
What is the situation of the wizard on the other side? Like, how is it nearly surrounded by kobolds? Is it like what is there?
He just cleared a large path in front of him, 40 feet deep and 10 feet wide, of all goblins, because they're goblins.
Okay. You just froze for. Sorry.
By blasting out. Sorry, I froze for a second there. By blasting out with lightning, a path in front of him. So he's not presently beset, meaning like he's probably got at least a round's worth of assistance, especially with Allie trying to pick off the goblins that are closing on his flanks. So if you need a round on this side of the river, you've got it.
Okay. All right. Okay. And I'm sorry, about how many goblins do we see, like, assaulting them?
At this point, there were over a dozen. There's probably half a dozen left because of that big blast of lightning that chopped down a bunch.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry.
Okay. So what would you like to do this round?
I can assist Eric.
Okay, so with Randy's assistance, you'll actually have this rope down and ready to throw at the end of this round. Okay?
Great.
So that just leaves you, Rian. I assume that's a magic missile, lady?
That is a magic missile, too.
Okay.
Nice.
So I was going to ask, well, I guess it's within the range anyway.
Oh, yeah.
Again, with the 2 versus 5e. So 5e, the magic missile stuff that increases with level, it's when you're
casting with a higher level spell slot, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but
in 2e, it's just your level determines how powerful the magic missile is.
Okay.
And the way they do that is by the number of missiles available to you. Each missile does 1d4 plus 1, striking unerringly. However, you get 1 missile at level 1, missiles at level 3, 3 missiles at level 5, 4 missiles at level 7, and 5, the maximum that the spell allows, at level 9. That's what you do.
Yeah, and you also get additional range, because I copied down the thing. It's so different than what I'm, or just different enough from what I'm used to. All right, down to 2 pyramids.
Okay, so would you like to fire at 2 separate targets, or would you like to fire at 1? Okay, 2 separate targets. All right. So Allie's going to go first because Allie's on that side of the river and sort of is ready for this before all of you are ready for whatever. The wizard is in the midst of casting some spell as Allie attacks. Allie, over to you.
All right. So I'm going to go for the nearest goblin. You know, like I landed, I tucked into a roll. I'm up on my feet. You know, with in the duelist position, like the stance.
Got the AC. Yeah.
Yep. Which I'm gonna need every bit of AC I can get because I'm wearing a sundress.
Fortunately, a lot of your AC comes down to dexterity and whatnot, so
It does. Like the armor helped though. Like that was nice armor. But anyway, because I have no idea what my AC is right now without it.
Okay, so your AC is -4 for dexterity. Did you take 1 or 2 slots in single weapon fighting?
I took 2.
-2 for that. That's an AC of 4. That's what your AC is at the moment.
Okay, AC of 4.
What's banded mail, Eric? What's banded mail?
Banded mail on its own is 4, and I have a couple of other protective things as well. So
that's where I was driving with that.
Yeah.
So basically, you've got that level of protection.
Okay,
Yes.
cool. Because I know when I'm wearing my armor, my AC is 0. So, all right. So I'm in position, and I'm gonna go for the nearest goblin and try to, stab.
Oh, your attack.
All right. Well, I got an 11 on the die.
Okay, so the way FACO works in 2nd edition Dungeons & Dragons is you say, okay, so what's my base to hit armor class is 0, which in your case with this weapon is 17. And then you say, okay, so if I rolled an 11, it's 6 worse than that, right? Which is AC 4. Or no, AC, right.
it's
I'm bad at FACO,
AC 6, Chris.
AC 6.
Yes, there we go. I'm good at that. I'm good at FACO, bad at math. And
We're
so,
not the math stream. It's fine.
You're not, yeah. Fortunately, goblins have an AC of 8, and so you hit the goblin. Now it's
Lovely.
just down to damage. Okay, so damage for you is the weapon does D6 plus 1. You have no strength modifier to damage.
All right. So I rolled a 4, so that's 5 damage to the goblin.
All right, you will cleanly. This weapon is very deft and delightful. It's now bloody though, because you cleanly put it through the throat of that goblin, and then whipped it back out again. The goblin will fountain blood from its throat and keel over, dying.
And I'll like as I do that, I'll just gonna say, "Hold on tight. We're here to help."
Okay. Much appreciated, the wizard will say, after completing his spell, because he doesn't want to interrupt himself. He had a handful of glittery dust, right? Which he will throw into the air above himself as he completes the words of this spell. And it will swirl around him for a moment before depositing itself across him evenly. He'll glitter for an instant before that outward appearance goes away. Make of that what you will. Okay? So that's you and the wizard on the opposite side of the river. Randy and Eric have gotten the thing down. They're getting ready to throw it. And Rhiannon, you are rattling off the words to a magic missile. Your 2 missiles are flying at 2 goblins. That's D4 plus 1 for goblin, please.
Both 4s. So 5 for each one.
Excellent. So almost like Allie on the opposite side of the river, you'll note yours are green magic missiles, different shade of green from the fellow on the opposite side of the river. He's got more of an emerald green. You've got more of a jade green. Will go slamming into the chest of 2 goblins, and they'll spin away, falling. So you have now, between your effort, double the number of goblins from Allie on the opposite side of the river. Not that we're keeping track or anything.
It only counts as 1.
There you go. Thank you, Gimlet. And Allie on the opposite side of the river cleared a little bit of a path ahead of the wizard, which is great news because bellowing a war cry and roaring forth from the opposite side of the chamber on the opposite shore are 2 gigantic beings. They're 9 feet plus tall in height, and they are ugly as sin. Humanoids, squat but tall, extremely muscular, armed and armored with scraps of leather armor, carrying enormous spiked clubs. Those are probably ogres. And 2 of them just came charging into the room.
Great.
That is Eric and Randy throwing a rope. Who's the thrower?
I will throw it. I
All
mean,
right.
unless Randy wants to take it from my hand.
Nope. I'm
So-
guessing you have better strength too.
Once upon a time, when I was in Boy Scouts, I was actually well trained in throwing ropes as part of life-saving techniques.
Okay,
And
good. That's good.
Also in building contraptions to get across rivers and stuff. So,
MacGyvering the situation.
yeah,
You
I'm
have a
pretty
position
comfortable
of
doing
MacGyver.
this. Confident. Okay.
Please
So-
roll 27.
That would be a 4.
Okay, so even the most skilled people occasionally run into problems. This
I was
is
very
one of the-
confident.
that could have been your issue. That could have been your issue right there.
Maybe.
One of those instances where that just it got over to the opposite side of the river, but then you were trying to hook it on something and kerplunk, you pulled it into the Sargon.
I mean, to be
So-
fair, Scouts don't usually use grappling hooks as part of their
No,
techniques.
not usually. Yep.
That's Girl Scout stuff. Just kidding. All right.
Okay. So in any event,
So I reel that back in to throw again. I froze for a second. So what's the over on that I hooked a giant fish that's now going to come and attack us? Okay. I think you're back, Chris.
froze for a moment, but I did hear hooked a giant fish towards the tail end of that. So I'll tell you what, Eric. I'll let you roll another 20-sided die. Let's see if
Oh,
you
God.
hooked a giant.
That's a 2.
All right, you did not hook a giant fish.
Okay.
You
I
did
guess.
hook some seaweed or something at the bottom of it, so it'll come up mucky. You notice how I told you it smelled brackish in the last session? Now you know why.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
because
that
running
is
water
wrong.
usually smells okay, right? But if there's
Usually.
just a lot of organic material rotting at the bottom of it, I suppose.
You know, maybe if you're downstream from a community that's using the river for other purposes, who knows? Anyway,
Just a bunch of Kuatoa just. All right.
They're down there. Okay, so it is the beginning of a new round. We will again go to the side of the combat on the opposite stream first. So, Allie, it's you and the wizard, who's happy to have your assistance. The wizard cast that spell. What would you like to do?
I'll go for another. Like I'll whatever the next closest one. I'll stab.
Okay, so yeah, oh yes, the cult of Iguanodon strikes again, and
That's why it smells bad.
it does really. Okay, and so you will interpose yourself between one of those Russian goblins headed for the wizard, and stab it with your sword. Rhiannon,
Alright.
you're kind of in this fight insofar as you're throwing magic across that river. You know, I'll note, just as a DM, not here, you haven't used any fire magic.
Yeah.
Random observation. Okay,
Uh-huh.
so what would you like
Accurate.
to do? On your assessment?
Well, I mean, so which side of the stream are the ogres on? Our side or the wizard and alley side?
Ogres are on the wizard and alley side, closing from across the back end of that chamber towards the wizard and alley.
Because I think pew-pewing them is going to be dumb. Well, let's see what I do have points enough for, and they spend better for fire spells. I was avoiding fire spells.
I noticed that. So did your
Uh-huh.
friend.
Yep. So if I do second level fireball, will the 10-foot get only one ogre? Or
You can throw it, timing it such that it can catch both.
okay, that is the idea.
So would you like to do that?
Yes.
All right, fair enough. All right, so Eric and Randy, are we going for round 2 on the grappling hook, or do we have a different strategy?
I don't have a different strategy. Did you think of something, Randy?
No.
Okay. Round 2 on the grappling hook. You
Okay,
want to try
fair
throwing it this time?
No, I think you're.
Oh, okay.
Okay, you're doing a great job. You're doing a great job. Okay, so initiative will just be for those of us casting spells on one side of the river or fighting on the opposite side of the river. So if you could roll d10s for me. Let me know what your numbers are. Allie?
Oh, sorry. That asked a question all of a sudden.
Sorry.
Remind me what I'm doing really quick.
Rolling initiative.
That's
Rolling
right.
initiative.
That's right, because we roll it at every time. I
Right.
rolled a 1.
Oh, excellent. And Brienne, you said.
6.
Okay. So, Allie, you will actually succeed in stabbing before Rhiannon manages to finish her spell.
Okay.
And those ogres are closing in. Uh-oh. They're
Yeah.
getting closer.
Do not like
let's
that.
hope somebody's got something for this. But
Mhm.
there are at least a couple of goblins moving in. They see they have backup, and with backup, goblins are brave. So this is the rolling time, Allie.
All right. Gonna hit, and I only rolled a 4 that time.
All right, a 4 will miss.
Yeah.
What you need to hit AC Goblin is a 9 or better.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you swing at the goblin or stab at the goblin, but miss. But you're fending the goblin back, which is a little bit good.
Yeah.
Because you miss the spellcasters, and then Rhiannon finishes her spell just as you complete it, so as not to interrupt your concentration. It is about time. So your little pea of green flame will fly across the river, land or arrive in between the two onrushing ogres and explode, fire rolling out from it. If you could roll 3d6.
Okay. I'll just. Come on. That's better. 7.
Okay. The good news is that the ogres both failed their saving throw, so they'll take your full damage. The bad news is they've got more hit points than that. But you will roast them and at least 3 goblins that were sort of in their wake as they're closing in towards everyone. So, Allie, you'll see that spell go off. The green pea will flash from behind you and erupt amidst the ogres. You were really hoping it was going to just set them on fire and turn them to ash, but that didn't happen, so they're still coming.
Oh boy.
Wizard behind you will rattle off quickly the words to another magic missile spell, 4 more bolts, shooting forth 2 from each hand, slamming into one of the 2 goblins that Rhiannon injured. Hang on, I'll roll that damage. Still not enough to fell that ogre. Although you estimate maybe about half of the damage that it takes to do that has been done between Rhiannon and this wizard. By the way, Rhiannon, since you're familiar with magic missiles operation at this point, you know by observing that wizard cast this spell that wizard is either 7th or 8th level in casting ability by virtue of the number of missiles that he's throwing around on that side of the river.
Why does he need us then?
No. So then the bad guys attack. So 2 goblins on you, Allie.
Okay.
A miss and a natural 20.
Oh no. Okay.
I'll roll that natural 20 again to see if I get another. Nope, a 9 on the second one. So the second goblin's tiny pointy little spear will lace into you, doing 2 points of damage. So
Okay.
you're now graduated to the point where you have enough hit points that doesn't kill you or make you openly bleed, etc., but it hurts, bloody hell. And somebody just stabbed you with a spear. That wasn't very nice at all. Bloody goblin.
Okay. Yeah.
Rude.
The wizard has bigger problems, 9+ feet tall, bigger problems. Insofar as the 2 ogres don't seem as interested in you as they are in that wizard.
Yeah.
They come charging up and attack.
I'm definitely imagining just a really fine graze, a little red line on a thigh or probably a thigh, just because they're goblins, so they're little.
They're stabbing up. Yeah. Okay. So again, good news, bad news situation. Good news, one of the ogres misses wild, slamming into a stalagmite. and shattering it with their club. Bad news, the other ogre connects with its blow in the center of the chest of the wizard in question. Good news, that wizard has cast a defensive spell in the previous round that basically makes that rebound like crack, like it slammed against rock and the wall on that wizard. Bad news, that still transfers force. Even though it doesn't do any damage, it still transfers force. And so the wizard is driven back and almost into the river by that blow. So it is you in the front, facing only goblins, 2 ogres trying to kill that wizard, one of which almost knocked him into the river. Rhiannon has acted. Allie has acted. It's the lads with the rope. Go ahead, gentlemen.
Well, I'm not doing anything with it, right? I mean, he's doing it, so I'm kind
You're
of
helping.
doing my own thing.
You're helping. You're absolutely helping.
How am I helping?
You got any piece of advice?
Moral support.
Oh, okay.
All right,
yeah, nope.
All right, well, I rolled a 19.
All right, see, you're much better. This is the training is coming back to you now. The training is coming back to you now. I described 3 pillars in the room at the last session that sort of go into the room. You managed to wrap the thing around the center, firstmost of those giant pillars. That is a very secure hold. That is going to hold very nicely.
Okay. Can Randy go across the rope this round,
I mean,
or do we have to wait until next round?
Randy can start across if Randy would like to start across. Randy, would you like to start across the river? Or?
I think it's probably a wiser move to try and get the other people to come across the rope in our direction.
That does make sense.
So I would shout, "There's a rope! Get your butts over here!"
Okay, so that answers the question of, is Randy going over there? All right, so we're back to it. Beginning of round 3. All right, so Allie, you're on that side of the river.
Yep.
Randy just gave everybody on this side of the river some general directions. What would you like to do?
Well, I will take another shot, basically. I'll try to stab the one that cut me.
Okay, so you're like, I'm sticking around and stabbing these goblins.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, so that's you. Rhiannon, you're spell dueling across the river. Any more of those, or are you taking a moment?
I mean, so the ogres are still going, right? So
they are still going, yes.
And I have enough, so I can still do level 2s. I haven't done too many of those yet. So I'm just gonna do it again.
I'm all in favor of this. However, I do want to remind you. Remind you, if it's relevant for you.
Yeah.
You also have riding at your hip a wand. You remember it? It is Jamal's wand of lightning.
Oh, okay.
Before she died. So you are welcome, if you are trying to avoid using fire spells, to switch to that if you like, or you're welcome to use another fire spell.
I mean, I've already done it this time, so.
You might as well. That seems entirely
no luck in the barn doors.
Okay, fair enough. Okay. So what was your plan?
So I'm doing the second level fireball again.
Okay, excellent. And so this time you're trying to get towards the back of the group, cook the remainder of the goblins that aren't in combat with Allie and the ogres from behind.
Yep.
Okay. I would be remiss as a dungeon master if I didn't tell you that casting an area of effect spell at an opponent that is in physical combat with one of your allies carries with it a small risk of accidentally harming a friend. Well, you don't know if this is a friend yet, but a friendly. Do you care about that, or?
So he, can I move it? If I move it away from him, so like I move it away from the wizard.
You can get one ogre for sure, and the remainder of those goblins, but you will miss the other ogre. But then again, you won't hit the wizard.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do.
I mean, when the ogres had struck him, they knocked the wizard back, you said, towards the river. So presumably there's some distance between them, right?
Yeah, just a few feet though. Fireballs aren't they're
Yeah,
not
yeah,
exact.
yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. And Eric.
Does it look like they're coming across the rope? It doesn't look like that.
Not at this time. Allie, for one, is definitely locked in deadly combat with that goblin that just stabbed her.
I give Randy a look.
Grazed her, but sure.
I give Randy the look, which, to be
Uh-huh.
clear, is not the same as Yang Yang's look. The look is, I'm about to do something foolish. Here I go.
Oh boy.
And I am going to start across the rope over to the other side.
All right. Then why don't we just have you all roll initiative with the exception of Randy?
Okay.
I mean, I can still do things, right? Shouldn't I roll initiative?
Oh yeah, but you don't need to worry about initiative. You'll do them when you do
Okay.
them. You're not affecting the combat, so you can go last basically. Okay, so what do we roll?
Got a 2.
I rolled an
two.
8.
8 for Eric and Rhiannon.
Sorry. 6.
Okay. All right, Allie, you are first yet again.
All right. I'm going to I'll be a little surprised at having taken that little cut, but I will kind of riposte and try to. Yeah, that'll do it. Roll the 17.
All right, that will in fact do it. How much damage is the only question.
I rolled a 6, so 7 damage to this thing.
You're angry. This thing cut you. That wasn't very nice at all. And so your anger helps to guide your hand, and your stab this time goes clean through the eye socket of that goblin. It squeaks, howls, kicks, and drops to the ground. You will pull your blade loose.
There's a 10% chance you hit its brain, because those brains are very small.
And I'll say, we should probably get back across the river. I don't like the look of those things.
Nor do I, he'll say, trying to keep himself from falling into the water and look to see the method that you have. Oh, a rope. You can tell he's zoning in on that. Randy, did you want to cast a spell that might actually have an effect on this side of the river? If so, what would you like to do?
My options are limited, but I was going to cast a phantasmal force to create a wall of green fire that springs up between the wizard and Allie and the ogres, in keeping with all of the fire effects that Rhiannon's been throwing around.
Slinging around the battlefield. All right.
Yeah.
So Rhiannon is going to finish her spell first, and then we'll come to you. So, okay. Go ahead.
Roll my.
Damage.
Okay. 9.
Okay, so saving throw for our friend the ogre. Again, failed it. This is the ogre in the back rank. He's not down, but he is significantly wounded, and you managed to vaporize the 4 remaining goblins standing around him.
And we're back. We had a little technical snafu there, some chronomancy or something like that, but now we're here. So to recap where we left off, Rhiannon had just cast a fireball across the river. She caught the rearmost ogre in it, not felling it, but doing reasonable damage to it, and cleared out the 4 remaining goblins clustered around the base of the ogre. That leaves the wizard, who was staggering and trying not to fall into the river, and Allie, who had just skewered yet another goblin on that side of the river.
Well,
Eric was shimmying. It did in fact cut you. It needs to suffer for that. I agree with you. And Eric was shimmying across to come this way. Do you wish to change that approach, Eric, or are you coming over to this side of the river?
I'm still heading across to that side of the river.
All right, so then Eric will arrive at about the precise moment that Randy's effort goes off. So Randy, is this a wizard spell you're casting, yes?
Yes.
All right, so there's a little performative component to it. If you have a performative Mr. Bard component you wish to use, please feel free to employ it.
Oh, okay. Let's Okay, so this is an illusion. I'll dance a little bit and be like, oh, I wish I could think of a song off the top of my head that has to do with illusions, but yeah,
How about Lady Gaga's Perfect Illusion?
that would be perfect. Except for I can't think of it off the top of my head. So, all right.
That's okay. We'll put it in post. I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
Yeah.
Just picture Randy singing that song and then the scene.
There you
Can't
go.
see me.
So-
what you see is what you get, even if it's not real. Yeah.
Okay, this is great.
So you're trying to create a wall of basically green flame, correct, on that side of the river that seals off the ogre's approach to the wizard,
Yeah.
etc.
Make them
Okay.
hold back at least long enough for them to get to the rope and retreat.
Illusion spells, this being a first level illusion spell, visual only at this
Yep.
level, that's the thing that you can throw into it. And it requires a reasonable degree of craftsmanship or imagination or artistry.
Oh,
do you,
shoot.
Do you draw? Do you do any of that stuff, Randy?
I do. Yeah.
Okay, excellent. So then you have an excellent chance of making this spell pretty believable on the opposite side of the river. You've
Yeah, and I'm
practiced-
hoping it's aided
practiced
by the
with this
fact.
in your head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm hoping it's aided by the fact that Rhiannon just blew them up with a bunch of green fire. And so
Correct.
it's just an extension kind of that. Like I have exactly something to model it on. There you go. It's a wall of the same kind of flame.
Excellent. And that actually helps both make it easier for you to do and for the verisimilitude of the illusion. So, all right, swoosh, wall of flame goes up in front of all of you on that side of the river. Eric, you will arrive as that wall of flame goes up.
Great.
The ogres, they're not bright, but fire bad, tree pretty. So they will quail back for an instant, especially since they've gotten pasted now twice in a row by flame. So that's bought you a little bit of time. The wizard, seeing you arrive, Eric, will look to you and say, "Shall we cross?"
I will guard your retreat. Head across.
Thank you, friend. Okay. He looks, he's about in his late 20s, maybe early 30s, human male wizard, well dressed. So some wealth to him. You know from the number of magic missiles he threw across the river, not once but twice, that he's somewhere 7th and 8th level. Roll a 20-sided die.
That's the wrong size die, Eric. Okay, here we go. 15.
Okay, he's got a patch on his tunic underneath his robes. Could be an adventuring symbol of some kind or another. It's hard to say, but it doesn't immediately spring to mind as to what it is, and you're not getting the world's clearest view of it because it's
He's not wearing
illuminated
like
by-
a Harper pin or anything that I could.
They
Okay.
tend not to wear those out in the open, so
Right,
I was going to
yeah.
say, Harpers don't wear those. So.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's not super obvious. Okay.
not super obvious. Okay, all
All
right.
right.
So
Fair enough.
he seems content to go with this plan of yours. And so that's going to roll us over into the beginning of a new round. Allie, there's nothing to stab.
All right.
Well, unless you want to go through that illusion, which you know is an illusion, and go stab stuff on the other side.
No, I'm good.
Okay.
I'm gonna start falling back then.
Okay, okay. Is that your way of saying I'm going next back across the ropes with the wizard?
I will. Yeah, I'll go next after the wizard.
Okay.
Or I could just
And-
jump. I could just jump across. What am I doing?
You could just jump across. You've got those boots.
I'm just gonna jump
Correct.
across. Yeah, that'll be easier for me.
Let the plebs cross the river with the rope bridges. We fly. that's what we do. Okay. All right. So that's what you'll do. We know what the wizard is doing. Eric.
I'm going to make sure the wizard gets onto the rope, and then I'm going to. Well, I'm basically here to cover their retreat. So if the ogres aren't coming,
Mm-hmm. At least not immediately.
then I am going to. Once the wizard gets across the water, I am going to then climb onto the rope and go across the water.
Okay. So basically, guarding the escape is a fair way of putting that. Okay.
Correct.
Excellent.
It
So
might
now
not be
Rick-
able to support two of us at once.
That's an excellent thought. and probably wise. Okay, so Randy, illusions of this sort usually require a degree of concentration. They'll last for a little while if you just let them go, but generally speaking, one must have the brow sweat and the fine concentration to keep them going. Okay, so that's what you're doing.
Burning.
There you go.
Burning.
Yeah. All right, so Rhiannon, that leaves just you.
I mean, I'm already on the side that we want to be on, so.
Yes, so are you content that you have done all the damage that is required in this particular encounter?
I mean, I'm getting pretty low on spell points, so I'm thinking I'm going to save them.
That seems entirely reasonable.
Yep.
Okay, excellent. So, no need to roll initiative this round. Randy keeps the spell in place, which keeps your ogre friends at bay, although you can hear them roaring in rage on the opposite side of the fire. Hey, you might actually be able to hear something else. Allie, why don't you make a detect noise? And Eric, why don't you make a d20 roll?
I rolled a 7.
Okay, and Allie?
75.
All right, so you don't hear this, probably because you're focused on the river and you're like, I'm jumping across.
Rivers are noisy too, so.
They are. Eric, you can hear something coming from beyond the illusory flames, beyond the ogres on the opposite side. It sounds like some large automated machine thing tanking along behind the ogres.
Whoa, okay.
Jeez. Okay. So, your wizard friend is scurrying across the rope. It's almost like he's an adventurer or something and has climbed a rope or two in his day. So, he's on pace to cross the river this round. Randy
not
is
easy in a
continuing
robe.
to hold. Not easy in a robe. It isn't.
No.
I wear those big robes to Gen Con. It is not easy to do things wearing full wizard robes. Allie, you'll tumble gracefully across the opposite side. So you'll land right near where Rhiannon is. Rhiannon, you have a moment to observe things dispassionately from across the river. Eric, you're the only one left over there. Time to leave?
Yes, if the wizard gets fully across, then I will go across.
Okay. All right. Randy, new round. Are we keeping the fire going?
If Eric hasn't safely crossed yet, then yes. Burning.
Rhiannon and Allie, could you roll a 20-sided die for me?
Yes.
1.
11.
Okay. You'll detect it, just not as soon as Rhiannon will.
Yeah.
Rhiannon, you'll hear and then see that door. Remember that stout iron door I described to the north as an exit to this passage? There was the door back into the heart of the promenade and then that passageway that you guys came down. Mm-hmm. You'll hear it opening and then see it open, and a patrol of defenders of the promenade will come spilling forth from inside it. They're led by male drow, rather distinctive looking. Allie, you'll not hear that because you're concentrating on, observing what was going on behind you, but you'll see it when you turn back around and look in that direction. And then you'll lay eyes on that drow that's leading the patrol. This is, remember how I described to you in our last session when you were at the council that there was a male priest Elistray that looked vaguely familiar to you, but you didn't get much of a look at them? I'm about to send you a picture. You're going to tell me via email. You're going to tell me when I come to you again if this picture means anything to you.
So, okay. So I like Amara will see that person and stop cold. Like eyes widening.
Do you recognize that person?
I do.
Oh, okay. Hey, Rhiannon and Randy, you're on that side of the river. Could you roll a 20-sided die for me? Randy, this is going to be tough for you because you're concentrating on that wall of fire. But anything's possible.
Oh, well, I got a 20. I think that's the worst, though, right? When you're.
It is. You are concentrating clearly on that wall of fire. Okay, and you rolled a 4, Rhiannon. You'll see, okay, sort of like an expression of shock go across Allie's face as Allie's face alights on the person who's leading that patrol. And So take that for what it's worth. Allie still has that expression right here.
Should I
Yeah.
be looking at the thing, or
I mean, you can if you want to. I'm
You
not sure
like.
it'll necessarily mean anything to you, but let's find
Okay.
out.
let me see.
Yeah, like she's
Don't wait on me.
she's speechless.
Okay.
Like
Okay.
It doesn't mean something to me. So
All right. So
Like-
back over to the opposite side of the river. We'll get back to you in a second, Allie. So
Okay.
Eric,
Yep.
whatever that thing is, that giant metallic monster on that side of the river, apparently it's not friendly to ogres. Because you can hear them screaming and their clubs trying to slam off the metal of it. So whatever it's doing, not friendly. So do you wish to take this moment to cross the river?
Yes.
Okay.
My duty is fulfilled to protect the people that I need to protect, so I'm headed back across the river.
Okay, very well. Randy, is it safe to say you'll keep that wall of fire up until Eric gets to this side, or do you want to drop it and see what's going on over there?
Oh, no, I'm not too worried about Eric. Whatever. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I'll keep it going.
Okay, fair enough.
He can get dunked in dubious underground liquids. Whatever, it's fine.
Eh,
Okay, so Rhiannon, Allie's kind of locked up, and so the patrol, there's about a half a dozen of them, mostly female drow, but led by this one drow male priest warrior. It's kind of a combination of both, right? Lovely sword, you see it in the picture. We'll
He's
sort of
apparently pretty hot. I'm just
look,
yeah.
you're just saying. So we'll take a look at Allie, but see that Allie's kind of like doing one of these, and immediately shift to you because
Yeah,
Randy's
it's-
back is to him.
it's definitely not the oh my god hot look. It's the how is this possible kind of stare.
Yeah. Okay. And so say what goes here to you, Rhiannon.
we are trying to help a wizard, 2 ogres, I think the goblin, but there's a noise of something else coming. We definitely still need your help, so I'm gesturing back
Okay, in that
towards-
direction. He'll make some hand gestures, quiet, drow sign to the patrol, and they'll spread out to cover this side of the river. He'll look at your friend, look at you, and say, "You may wish to fall back."
Yeah, I'm gonna do that.
Okay. Eric, speaking of falling back, you've just fallen back to the opposite shore. Could you roll a 20-sided die for me, please?
Right. 13.
Okay. It'll take you a moment to figure out that Allie's kind of operating on autopilot because Allie's recovering from sort of that moment of shock and moving over where near Rhiannon is. But Allie saw something. Allie saw that. You recognize the person in that image. That person's in charge of the patrol on this side of the river.
Okay. In a moment of empathy, I just completely understand what's going on. And I'm like, all right.
Okay, fair enough.
Mhm.
I now entirely understand how Eric felt previously
I
when meeting Illyra.
look for Rhiannon and Rogar. Not Rogar, Randy.
Rhiannon is right there guiding sort of Allie out of trouble to let the patrol handle
Yeah.
what's going on this side. And Randy is keeping that wall alive.
well, Eric's on this side, so and there's a whole bunch of drow here to like, so I can like kind of let it go. Like, I mean, at this point, it's probably hurting because they can't get a clear vision of the
Correct.
situation.
So you
I
will allow it to vanish or something dramatic.
And scene, I say.
Okay. And
And
it flashes out of existence. In
Yes.
time for you to see the ogres, well, there's only one left now because one of them has been neatly cut in half. Ogre fighting some metal monstrosity. It looks like a scorpion the size of a horse, composed all of metal, on the opposite bank of the river, butchering ogres.
rocking them like a hurricane.
The patrol will say that is one of Trobriand's creations. And I think we should leave, will be the command from the leader of the patrol. What do all of you think?
Good idea.
Yes.
Mhm,
Yeah,
mhm,
that's a
mhm.
good idea.
Okay. Yes.
I
yes,
am
we agree.
I'm going to offer Rhiannon my hand as though to assist her.
Yep. I can tell group chat when it's
Yep.
offered.
It's group chat.
Is that now we're putting the whole group into chat because you can fall back into this chamber beyond and take a moment to chat amongst yourselves. Would you like to do that?
Let's do that like all the way.
Yeah,
sure.
Inside.
As a
Okay.
note, though, as we're leaving this river shore, I'm going to scoop up a handful of sand and put it in my pocket.
All right. You never know when you might need a little bit of sand.
Pocket sand.
And it's wet.
Because I
Okay.
think I still need to use components, don't I?
You do.
know?
That is
Yeah.
correct. Yeah.
Okay.
And that is a useful one. Agreed.
Pocket sand.
Okay. So you'll fall back into this sort of defensible stone chamber, fairly large defensible stone chamber that obviously serves as some sort of defensive backstop for this section of the promenade. And you'll be left to yourselves for a moment. There are 2 members of that patrol. There were a total of 6 plus the leader, 7 in total. 4 plus the leader are still out there. 2 of them have escorted your wizard companion, the person who you went over there to rescue in the first place, into this chamber and are clearly talking to him to try to figure out what his story is before they just simply let him into the promenade. If you want to attempt to overhear some of that conversation, you can. If not, you can just talk amongst yourselves, or you can just be quiet and wait to get back into the promenade at large. What would you like to do?
I think Amara is like starting to be just to kind of register exactly what the heck just happened, and she just looks at Eric and is like, that grab shoulder.
Okay, so the group chat has begun. All right,
Yes.
group chat away.
That was Kaylin. My Kaylin, not your Kaylin.
Yeah, he does have that kind of look that you put on most of your characters. Anyway,
Who
What
is
is
your
that?
Kalen?
What is that
That's-
supposed to mean?
that's Shay's father.
Hmm.
No, let's roll that back a sec. What is that supposed to mean?
Oh, nothing. You have a type. Anyway, also, Trobrand, they mentioned Trobrand. He's one of the apprentices of Alistair Blackcloak, the mad wizard of Undermountain. We don't want to mess with any of that nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
Let's keep far away from there.
Yeah, let's get back into the promenade and we can just I need a process.
So yeah, I'll your very sad, tragic backstory for this guy is definitely not at all ethically complicating, is it?
You're one to talk.
I am. All right.
I do love the buddy cop comedy that is the 2 of you. I really do
Yes.
very much enjoy.
Oh boy. All right. Well, I mean, it's not necessarily as bad, is it?
No, not as bad as your stuff. I
Good.
mean,
That's
like,
good.
really, the terrible things haven't happened yet.
All right, so we're all good then.
Yeah, because at this stage, his father's dead, but his mother's still kicking. I mean, nothing actually happens to his mother that I can recall. So he's like, he's fine. He's fine. It's the stuff later with his wife that is bad. So
I can hear Randy mentally raising his hand. What's up, buddy?
Is there like a wizard in green robes just like staring at us as we're all like just looking into each other's eyes meaningfully?
He's being interrogated
just
by
everyone just
Oh,
like
okay.
slowly looks over at that guy.
Yeah. I was just double check. I couldn't remember like what he was doing. Yeah.
No.
Anyway, let's try not to be weird around this guy, and just
Mhm,
it'll be okay.
mhm.
It'll be okay.
It'll be fine. It'll be fine. And she'll let go.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. So the leader of the patrol, Kaylin, I believe you said, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Kaylin.
And the 2 remaining members of the patrol will come into the room, sealing the door behind them, briefly converse with the 2 guards that they left to interrogate the wizard that you've all just sort of rescued, and be told that he's an adventurer from the city above who ended up getting lost from the 2nd level of Undermountain to here, seeking passage back above.
Okay.
Kaylin will, with that information, welcome him in to the promenade provisionally while they sort those details out. He will come walking over to you, Allie.
Mm,
He's looking at like your whole group. This
hello.
fellow, late 20s, early 30s, like I said, about 6 feet tall, not like built, but hale and hearty. Sharp features with keen, piercing blue eyes and neatly kept black hair, dressed in finely tailored deep green robes that blend the style of noble fashion with subtle hints of his arcane profession. He has an ornate oaken staff, which was on the other side of the river, but he's brought over with him. He has one of those straps that you were looking for, Rhiannon. So maybe he's a good supplier of these things. Everyone
Staff
who has
sling.
one probably keeps a spare. And an assortment of components and sacks and whatever around him that scream this guy's some kind of an arcane spellcaster. Okay, so he'll look at the group. His eyes will alight briefly on you, Rhiannon, because you're the only other obvious arcane spellcaster in this group. And he'll go to you, Allie, and he'll say, Tormil Gost at your service. Thank you so much for your assistance.
Of course. I saw your plight across the river, and I wasn't just about to leave someone down here to fend for themselves.
An excellent instinct. Myself and my band of adventurers will be happy to reward you for your assistance in saving my life. I'm a member of the Deep Delvers. Have you heard of us?
I'm not familiar personally.
Are you from Waterdeep?
No, alas.
We're looking to get there. If perhaps you wish to return, we could go with you.
That's you, Rhiannon.
Yeah.
He will turn in your direction and he will say, Lady Mage, might I know your name?
I'm Rhiannon.
Tormil Gost at your service. I would be happy, as it is the least that I could do for my saviors, to assist you in regaining the surface. It's something I plan to do in short order.
I suspected.
Excellent. Very well. Well, we've at least provisionally are you residents here? Now he's kind of confused.
Travelers.
Yes, travelers just staying for a short time before we try to find our way back up. We sort of stumbled across this place on accident ourselves.
Well, it would seem that we're in the same shoes then. So let us follow our hosts and see where they lead us.
Of course.
And he will fall in with a lot of you. Seems like a nice enough fellow, and a little handsome to boot. Yes, you totally do. That's the response of a comment in the chat. Okay, so the Drow are going to lead you back into the promenade. Basically, those defensible chambers lead to a room, which then leads to the what's the word I'm looking for? Cavern of Song, which is where you're going to go. And as you arrive at the Cavern of Song, your guide, the one you left some time ago to do a bit of shopping on your behalf, is returning to you, sort of surprised that you managed to, when she let you out of her sight for less than 15 minutes, run into a fight of some kind or another. Really not what she was expecting. But you'll also notice that Ilzreen is with her. And Ilzreen will say, the lady will see you now, if you've a moment.
Yes, of course.
Excellent. Follow me. And that is where we will take our first break of the evening.
All right. This is going to be exciting. Don't go away.
And we're back from our break. So when we left our heroes, Ilzreen and your guide had approached you, informed you that the lady was ready to meet with you. This must be the high priestess of the Promenade that you are being led to talk to. Because you did, when you were at the council earlier today, indicate that you had a desire to share some important information. So this will be that opportunity. And you will be guided into the section of the promenade that's the priestess's quarters. There's sort of the priestess's quarters, central temple, etc. If the armory and whatnot was down and to the right, the priestess's quarters is up and to the left in the promenade. So you'll be taken there by Ilzreen, led into one of the grander structures therein. Ilzreen will take you into what looks like a greeting chamber or a waiting chamber outside of like the bed chambers of the high priestess. And she will say, do you have any questions before I leave you?
Is there a particular term of deference that would be appropriate?
If you were a faithful of the Moon Maiden, perhaps, but really, my lady will be adequate.
Of course.
Very good. Well, then, I leave you all to her care. And she will depart the room. So now you're alone in the room. Rhiannon.
Oh, here it comes.
I have a sense I know who you're about to talk to. I would simply warn you that she has her own agenda, and if you tell her too much about what you know about the babes or the future, that could prove dangerous for everyone. I'll leave you to make good choices.
So you're saying her agenda doesn't match with yours?
Certainly not.
Okay.
All right, so I assume there's no commentary to the rest of the group about that. You're just going to keep that one internal.
No.
All right.
That's
So
me.
we have
all of that's like what we would have expected.
Yeah.
So we have a special guest, sort of a special treat for you this evening. And that is because you're playing a player self-adventure in the Forgotten Realms, and you're encountering one of the absolutely iconic characters in the Forgotten Realms. I thought it would be fun to have that character played by someone who created that character. And so could do justice to that character's verisimilitude far better than I ever could. And so joining us this evening to assist us with this mission of mercy is Ed Greenwood. Ed, welcome.
Hello.
Thank you very much, kind sir, for being willing to do this for us.
Thank you for having me. So,
Always a pleasure.
shall we begin?
We shall. Please describe the scene for us, Ed.
You're in a room that basically looks oval, egg-shaped, an egg on its side. So curving walls. The curving walls are redder and therefore more bright. As you go in, they're more purple where you are now. They seem to, at the back, vanish around a corner into deeper places. And around that corner comes a long, jet black, very shapely leg. It seems to be attached to a body. The body seems to be wearing something dark, clinging at ankle length. Very long fingers, very graceful movements. And you're looking at what looks to you very much like a drow of the female persuasion. Tall, slender, and very smooth and lithe in her movements. She looks at you and says, I believe the phrase I'm supposed to use now is well met.
Well met indeed, my lady. I will bow.
Yeah,
I'll
Amara,
whisper, you got this.
Amara will curtsy as much as the dress she's wearing will allow.
She's probably seen all the stuff before. Just saying, Amara, you know.
Fair.
She makes a gentle gesture of this sort, just beckoning you nearer, and indicates that one curving wall of the chamber seems to offer very comfortable seating in a sort of built-in couch that curves. And she said, "Will you sit?"
Yes, of course. Thank you.
As you all do so, not to interrupt you, Ed, but if I may for a moment, as you all do so, Rhiannon, it'll become clear to you and to everyone else a moment later. Do you remember that 12-foot tall statue that you were looking at over the pit in the center of the Cavern of Song. That
quite
statue is
memorable.
actually modeled on her.
So is
Okay.
she illustrate or is she a representative?
It's complicated.
Yeah,
I guess
it's
you can
very
ask that
complicated.
question.
Are you asking that aloud?
No, I'd probably like touch Eric since I don't want to distract Ali and be, ask
So-
that question.
It's complicated.
We can so just I don't know if you're familiar but with our group, when we are in physical contact we can
Yep.
speak mentally to each other.
Yep.
Which
Okay. Go ahead, Ed. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to.
No, it's okay. I have been here before as someone else when you did that.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
correct.
Yep.
And she says, "Please, be at ease. You must be tired. It's a long way from Earth."
Oh.
It is indeed.
Yeah. Oh, all right. Well, okay, I guess that gets that out of the way.
Our mutual friend of the Greenwood sends his regards.
I'm sure he does. He often sends things. I will speak to him about that later. But please be at ease. You are safe here. Although I would like to qualify that a little, because there's some things I would like to know. For instance, Amara, who are you, really? Underneath that shape you currently wear so awkwardly.
Well, I typically went by Allie, though I certainly have taken to this form more than the previous one.
And are you happy with this form, or do you want to be someone else? Who do you really want to be? If it's not too bold and forward for me to ask this right away.
Well, while I was surprised by the appearance of this form, at least, well, I did do this to myself, to note. I wanted this, but I didn't expect me to come out looking like someone specific. I happen to have the face of another person.
Ah, I see. So, you wanted this. You're willing to make deals with the devil.
It wasn't... I didn't know what that was at the time, to be fair.
Ah, well, if you're content with it, fine. It's not my place to meddle. We do have other means of taking you to other places. There's this thing we do called the James Dance. Just saying.
I've heard of it.
But you know, I don't wish to pry. Would any of you like wine? Would you like to be at ease?
Yes.
So you can get us home if we want.
Where is home?
Earth for me.
And do you wish to be there?
Yes.
It might make communications with your, I don't know if you like the word master or not, the one you are currently in communications with, it might make it harder.
Do you see what I mean?
Just saying. I am not one to meddle. I'm merely pointing out consequences.
I have never in my life seen a better application of the phrase feature, not a bug.
Well, I promise you that this mushroom wine is completely safe to drink and will not compromise your current communications. There are ways to travel between Earth realms. I've gone there myself. I do hope you left some clotted cream with brandy in it for me. I usually find myself just a little slower at the grabbing than a certain Elminster of Shadowdale. I never learned to be quite so forward when it came to putting things I wanted in my mouth as he is. But you know, if you've left me some food and wine of my preference, I would appreciate it. But yes, there are ways of getting back to Earth. But why do you wish to be there in such a hurry? Is the realms not a nicer place to be than Earth? I found Earth smelly, crowded, noisy, and with people making all sorts of wrong life choices that meant that they were all crammed together in dirty, polluted spots, fetid cesspits of their own making. They call them cities and so on.
I certainly have taken well to this place, but the others do want to go home.
And they can all speak for themselves, of course.
Of course.
Well,
if I might add, I have sworn a vow to assist my companions in returning home should they wish, and some of them definitely wish to return.
Very good. I don't wish to rush you or press you or even probe and pry too much, because I don't think there's much that I need to pry about. But I mean, you're welcome to stay here in the Promenade for as long as you wish, or to treat it as a refuge if you need to return to it.
I give Allie a significant look, like,
that's part of what we wanted to talk to you about.
Well, this would seem like a good opportunity then.
Yes.
An excellent transition, my lady. Bow again.
Well, we have some measure of foreknowledge. Something that's going to happen to the Promenade in about 7 years' time.
Yes, well, yes, here's the thing. All of the deities we serve, either just as lay worshippers or more intimately, they love this destiny thing. But they also love us to behave as if it didn't exist. So, it's this little game of make-believe we play. Like, I make believe that I'm powerful and important as a priestess, and History allows me to continue this make-believe. I'm not really. I screw up all the time. There are many things I don't know. I think I know what you're referring to, however. And yet, I swan around this my temple as if I don't have a care in the world, because that's how we live our lives. We blunder ahead, pretending we don't know what's going to happen. So, I think I know. So why don't you just not tell me? But, instead, tell me what you think this foreknowledge you have is pushing you to do. What do you wish to do here and now? Because of what you think you know about what will befall in the future. And you think you befall because you've been there.
At least read about it. I wanted to try to help preserve this place.
And you shall. I'll let you in on a little secret. Cataclysms come. Cataclysms go. Certain places endure. Certain places are changed beyond what you know. And certain places get restored because certain entities in this world and yours follow crazy dreams, so they put them back. When things get broken, they put them back. So, have no cares. Just tell me what it is you want to do right now.
I mean, beyond that, I don't know.
Would you like to join us here? would you like to become as I am? And she gestures down at her drow body.
I mean, it's an enticing thing. I've always had a fondness for this place, reading about it, imagining it. Just to be here now, it's been something I didn't really expect. But I did promise to help my friends get home.
Well, I mean, it's merely a case of when you wish to arrive home. I have guest quarters over there, and I just had new bidets installed. Warm, scented water. None of your cold, crude stuff. I mean, but I sense that there's some urgency, at least in your thinking. I haven't heard from the rest of you yet.
I mean, you
Rhiannon,
have,
yes.
but
Yes,
you
yes.
have, but you didn't believe me yet. So I'll let the others go.
Yes, but who was that speaking to me? Was it really Rhiannon, or was it a certain Lord of the Pit?
I mean, so clearly, like, temptation is what certain entities are working towards. But when I say that I'm not tempted enough to stay here, like, that would be what the voice would want, presumably, and I just want to go home. So I can be hella stubborn.
She really can be, my lady. It's true.
Well, you're not the only folk of Earth that I have seen, met, entertained here, and have seen in these realms around me. So it's not that I'm worried about your presence, but I think everyone should follow their desires in life, and if you wish to go home, then home you should go. Is there anything you want to accomplish before you go? Is there anywhere you want to go and see? Here you are in the realms. It is a wondrous place. I could certainly, if I were so inclined, that sort of insanity gripped me, I could put together a far better tour package for vacationing in the realms than Earth could offer you. Ugh.
Isn't that a different kind of temptation?
Life is temptations. Life is balancing one temptation against another, or giving in just a smidge because you're hungry, or giving in just a smidge because you're thirsty, or giving in just a smidge because you're horny. These things, we pinball from temptation to temptation. It's the balancing of them. That's why I'm the black sheep, so to speak, if that's not too chronomatic a term, of the seven, because I occasionally just go wanton. I follow my desires, and I sense you wish to do the same. But we are here underneath the greatest city in this part of the realms, Waterdeep. Don't you want to poke around in Waterdeep before you go?
I certainly wouldn't mind.
Well, I happen to know someone who could take you there with but a few steps. Not a long, arduous journey, and not having to deal with some of the riffraff we have in, say, Skullport.
There was something I still needed to do in Skullport.
And is it something you can share with us? Or something the priestesses could do for you? Or take you to the right place? Does it involve something that would be considered illegal, immoral, or fattening elsewhere?
I don't think it's any of those. I was led to believe that I could meet someone that could teach me. There's a sort of power that I want to be able to use. It's something that my armor can already do, but I want to be able to do it myself without it. To
Just say it.
to dance the shadows, as it were.
Ah. You don't have to travel very far to find someone who can teach you to do that. You are, after all, right here. But if for those of your companions who might have other hungers they wish to satisfy, itches they wish to scratch, I can put you in touch with someone who's has a great deal of influence in the city above us.
This person, their name would be?
My sister, Laryl. She's overlord of Waterdeep at the moment. I might find myself having a way to contact her with ease. If you're interested.
That's in here, Rhiannon. The Mark, which has been reasonably quiet throughout, just making an occasional comment, is emotional about that suggestion. With a little bit of heat in its tone. Laryl is the most manipulative of the chosen. Carefully watch everything you do or say. She is also the mate to the Blackstaff, who would sooner solve anything he thinks is a problem or a danger by obliterating it. Your friends and the babes would not be safe around her or him, especially if they discovered what you knew was going to happen.
He gets upset about trifles.
Wait, did you heard that?
Of course.
I think that was just Ed.
Okay.
She can't actually hear what's in your
Okay.
head.
No.
Just checking. Just checking.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would complicate things a lot. Yeah. And but Kalue does look at you, Rhiannon, and say, "Do you wish to go off by yourself to confer for a bit?"
I mean,
I wouldn't want to upset anyone into doing something diabolical.
I know that. Oh, go ahead.
well, I was just gonna say, the others, Eric, Randy, they can speak to you of what they would wish, before we talk amongst ourselves.
Please do.
Well, I want to hear from Randonius here.
Well, I'm, just kind of enjoying the ride a bit, but I think that I would wish, obviously, for everyone in this party to be safe and to get what they want. I do feel like where I'm kind of at this point is we have these tiefling babies who seem connected to stories potentially that we all kind of know and love. And we have Gedrin, who is connected to stories that we all know and love. And we are kind of traipsing through some really potentially pivotal moments in the realm's development and history. And the Forgotten Realms means so much to so many people. And I mean, a lot of people in this group can probably speak to, like, over the course of our lives, how it has comforted us and given us room to explore and enjoy magical things. So I would want to see that preserved and these stories that we love preserved. And so if our role here can in some way help to do that, then I would like to accomplish that. But other than that, so I guess it's I don't really have any strong personal ambitions other than to do the best darn job that I've been brought here to do, as long as it's has good results for our group personally and for the realms in general.
was really nice, Randy. Thanks.
That was really nice. Well, I know that I had a particular instructor in mind for what I was talking about, but if we can get up to the city faster, then we should probably take that route.
You're always welcome here. You can return. Should you do something in the city and not receive the instruction you wish, you're welcome back here. And the Bolero could probably assist you in getting back here without, again, the unpleasant journey between and betwixt. It could be simply, you'll be here.
Yeah.
A question, if you will. And I am intentionally using less of the paladin voice as time goes on. I'm just becoming more like just myself talking to her. So, the kid. I have been tasked to raise Gedrin to set him on the path to his destiny.
I
I'm
hate
sure
that
you
word
know.
Destiny. Yes.
Yeah, I know. I completely understand. But
Does Gedrin not have his own free will? Does he have to fulfill?
Yeah, but
someone
he's
else's-
5. So
Yeah. When I was 5, I created a world. No.
when you were 5, you were already indwelt with the spirit of 2 goddesses, if I recall correctly. So Gedrin
I
is
was
just a
5.
kid.
There
Okay,
is
well-
no just a kid, but I take your point. Yes.
Maybe I can convince Helm to indwell Gedrin. Anyway, the point is, I want to find somewhere to put him on the course to lead his own life and produce those stories that inspire people.
Hmm.
He's a good kid, and I want him to have the chance to be a good man.
And what is your sense of any damage that would be done to him to be aware of a great deception? For instance, if you changed his features and his name and put him in, say, I don't know, Shadowdale, Deepingdale, a quiet pastoral setting somewhere. Maybe you don't feel the Dales are the right setting, but somewhere away from all of this to grow up that way. But he would know that he was living in disguise. Do you think that would do more damage? I'm not expecting an answer. I'm just posing the question for you to mull it over.
My lady, you are definitely the black sheep of the chosen, are you not?
Well, when you're treated as... Let me put it this way. When you go to Earth and you're immediately shown a brass pole and told to use it because of how you look, and then when you go up into the fair city of Waterdeep and are immediately physically attacked because of how you look, it tends to color how you behave. It has colored how I behave. But, I can be the wanton sex kitten should you wish, but that hardly seems to achieve much. I can also cut loose and be, the worst bitch of an adventure you want to see. But again, it doesn't achieve much. I like to spark, to prod, to place possibilities in front of people and then let them choose freely. I just want you to know that I think I and my sister have the power to do that for Gedrin, should you wish it. And if you think it's best for Gedrin, I do not want to be pushing you in the direction of doing it. I merely wish to point out that the possibility exists, because, again, I'm all about people having free will to do what they want, because certainly I don't, and haven't since birth. so it's something I can't have.
I see.
Although I work towards it. So yeah, I would like others to taste it. Which is why I react so badly to destiny. And react even worse to folks, and Kilue looks directly at Rhiannon, who find themselves too closely guided by entities who have grand plans, and what's best for Rhiannon is certainly not foremost among them. But then, you know, I could be dismissed as serving someone else, and therefore is no better. I will say that he has a more handsome beard than I will ever have. And I have a better body than he will ever have. And I suppose that makes us equal in some paltry way. But I just want to point out that every time those of Earth pass between the worlds, as in return to Earth, there are complications. So if I seem reluctant to, you know, whisk you back to Earth, which is something I cannot do without great tribulation, let's put it that way, it may not go well for anyone. I believe the current Earth phrase is timey-wimey stuff.
Accurate.
There are, problems. But if you'd like to speak to my sister Laryl, and I'm sure that there will be certain, again, Kilue looks directly at Rhiannon, there will be certain measures of trepidation involved in this. I can assure you that my sister Laryl has the best interests of Waterdeep at heart. But beyond that, she has the best interests of Mistra at heart. And beyond that, she wants to make me happy, which is a nice thing. I like it when people make me happy. And beyond that, she's essentially a good person. There are many, particularly amongst the masked lords of Waterdeep, who would use the words manipulative bitch when they were speaking to her. And they would be right. But as long as you know the model of the car you're kicking the tires of, it does no harm to kick those tires. Just saying.
That's what I would expect her to say. Please let this woman know that I am not afraid of her, and that in time, neither will you be.
So I wish I could like step out of this conversation, because
Tired of being the middle woman, huh?
you two seem like.
Is your lord getting testy about now? He should be.
Well, I don't think I have the direct line to the top. I think I have a minion, but even so.
Well, they have a certain shelf life, and then they get testy.
Yeah, so threats, he's not afraid, blah blah blah.
Of course he's not afraid. He's in the 9 hells. What does he have left to be afraid of? He can't go any further down.
Fear is inefficient for a devil to have.
This fool misunderstands what I am and where I am.
Apparently you're not guessing correctly about where he is or who he is, so...
Yeah, of course. He would have probably used the word fool about now. He usually does. I quiver, I tremble, and she sinuously displays her hands, and then she goes, I tremble.
What's in it for you, my lady? I know what's in it for him. What's in it for you? If you triumph in this little battle between the two of you, and convince me to go your way instead of his.
Oh,
What do you gain?
I think you misunderstand me. There is no battle between us. There's just the sparring of we stand opposed and hate each other's guts, and it's entertaining to spar, so we do. I am not after anything at this particular point in time. At least nothing that I would share with your master. He knows what I stand for and whom I serve.
Go lay down, Jefferson.
He knows that I serve 2 ladies, and he knows that both of those ladies will be here in the realms after he is gone. And that knowledge burns in him like eternal hellfire. To quote a sage who's long dead, can't object to my cribbing his words anymore. So I will merely say I'm not pushing for anything. I just want what is right for all of you of Earth who are, what is the phrase, fish out of water? Except of course we have lots of water here, and it would be a pity if it all joined us at once. But why don't I bring my sister onto the scene, so to speak, and then if a certain person speaking in your head wishes to, what is the phrase, spaz out at that time, they can, and otherwise the rest of you can get to meet the Open Lord of Waterdeep. She's fun at parties. You won't be able to guess where she can balance wine glasses.
So speaking of spazzing out, 2 things. One, my dog is doing that, so I'm hoping someone comes to rescue me from that fate. The second is that that will provoke a remark from the Mark. It's been quiet, endured that general insulting whatever, but it can't help itself when it's being asked about or mentioned about a meeting with Laryl. Hang on. There we go. Thank you. My assistant. Can you hear that dog or not?
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, that's Jefferson being very whiny. He's like 90 pounds, so
that's a hellhound being very upset.
When he wants to be very
Wait a
whiny,
minute.
he's very successful.
Was that a whimper, or does he need oiling?
With him, it's probably both. But all right, okay. So Chris is taking care of that problem. Sorry, I shall return to my point. So, the Mark will say, upon the mention of Laryl joining the conversation, this bantering is all well and good, but that woman, if she tries to use sorcery to get into your head, you may wish to warn her off. If she does, I will have no choice but to defend it with every tool at my disposal. And there's no telling what might happen to your mind in that process.
Oh, the threat direct. Subtle, isn't he?
Voice is taking you hostage. I have 2 observations I want to make, and I know Allie wants to say something too.
Mhm.
But the first is, this woman has obviously met Ed Greenwood, and 2, she did it in the late 80s. Like, that's very clear to me.
Get out the black light. No.
Oh dear.
Okay.
What? The 80s were the time of glow-in-the-dark posters. What are you talking about?
All right.
Sure,
So,
like disco, whatever.
do we want to accept that offer, or
What is the offer?
to bring Laryl into the conversation? I guess
I mean, I'm all right with that.
I personally wouldn't mind, but I don't want to make Rhiannon take that risk if...
Yeah, I'm. So can we table that? And like we were talking about having a private discussion.
Okay.
And so if anybody else had anything they want to say before we go off to privately discuss.
Okay. I have a question to ask her, but we can have our private discussion before or after. It doesn't matter.
I mean, you can go ahead and ask. That's fine.
Okay. To interrupt that, the question about bringing in Laryl, I'll say, my lady, We actually have friends. You mentioned earlier that you had met people from Earth before who were here like us.
Mm-hmm.
We actually have friends who I believe may be in the city, or at least connected to the city. Do you know or have met Chris the Grey or Nendalin the Dancing Drow, for instance? We are seeking these people.
I have heard of both. I have seen both far scrying. I have briefly met Chris the Grey in person, although Chris the Grey may not realize that.
I won't tell him. He'll be very upset.
Yes, well, he missed his chance. How's that?
I know, he'll be very upset.
Well, he missed that chance. Let's put it that way. I do not know their precise whereabouts, either of them, at this moment. They're not, and she gestures with, just as I am doing, over her shoulder, pointing deeper into her chambers. Neither of them is in there now. I
see. Well, perhaps seeking them out might be a better measure before we meet your sister. A compromise, if you will.
I mean, how long's that going to take?
And as she says this, another person comes around the corner and says, "Oh, not long at all."
Great.
So Amara will kind of actually raise her hand a little bit. Actually, I had one more thing I wanted to ask before we move to the next bit of the conversation, if at all possible.
Amara, is this something privacy without? And she's gently waving at her sister like this.
I suppose it's not necessarily, but it's more to do with well,
a certain dancer?
Yes.
Right. And Kalue turns around and embraces Laryl and kisses her and says, "Sis, go back and have another drink. There's something else that has to pass among these people before you're in the audience." And Laryl's eyebrows go up like this. And she goes, "But of course. Can I open the end decanter now?" And Kalue goes, "Of course you can." And Laryl does this to you all and vanishes back around the corner.
All right. Amara will kind of wait, and then once Laryl is back in the other room, she'll just take a breath. In my time reading about the realms, Illustrae has always meant a lot to me. And I suppose coming here, part of me has been interested in finding a way to follow the maiden. But I'm concerned now, given some of what you said, would how I came about this form that I'm in, would that impede that at all?
No, there are many who venerate the lady who are not, and she gestures at herself. But I'd like to point out that we could undo your current form if you wish. There is a thing called the change dance. You could be, and she again gestures down at herself, as I am, eventually, if you wish to be. It's something I can do for you in safety here or elsewhere. And as I said, you are welcome to treat this as your home for as long as you need it, or if you need it again in future. That's all right. You don't You don't have to, but you seem to be wearing the shape of a moon elf rather like an ill-fitting costume. If you were a drow, it would be what you were, what you are. But, again, I merely lay forward possibilities. I don't push you into them. Don't want you to feel pushed into them. And nor do I want you to rush into this. Give it time, think it through. But yes, you could be like me, through and through.
I will. She's very like emotional and kind of broken up at the moment. I'll give it some thought.
I wish more of us did give things thought in life. Wouldn't that be a better world? And then she reaches back around the corner and makes a gesture. And then when she pulls her hand back, it's got a goblet in it. And she sips something from it. And then she turns and goes around the corner and waves like this, like get further back. She's telling Laryl, get out of earshot.
That'll give the mark an opening to make a comment that it has to make to you, Rhiannon. It seems as though you're going to talk to her whether we wish that to happen or not. I'll give you another warning for what it's worth. She lies like she breathes. She's not as good as you think she is. Ask her about the fate of the Nine, and ask her about the deeds of Irisul Irana.
I think
That's right. Gotta write it down.
I think there is one more thing, Amara, that I will say. It's just that it's something that Amara is grappling with, is that like she'll just say this form was the most me I've felt ever. She's actually crying at this point.
Then keep it. If it's the form that you feel comfortable in, keep it. But live in it. Make it yours. Watch how moon elves walk. See how they hold themselves, how they balance themselves. When they dance, how they dance. How they step into the dance. Do all those things. Be a moon elf then.
I want to.
Then be one. You can be what you are. The problem is when we want things we can't have. In Earth, it's the ladies with straight hair who want their hair to have a wave or be curly, and the people who have curly hair who want it to be straight. And it's like, why can't you just accept the hand you were dealt and play it? But that's something we must all wrestle with. So, I've said enough for now. Deliberate with yourself. Make your choices. Make them your choices. And then she says, would anyone else like to speak to me about anything before I bring my sister back? And Rhiannon, your head explodes with dire warnings about what terrible things and how my sister lies like a rug and all those other things that will be said.
A point of clarification. I only wish to see Allie happy and content. Are you saying that in order to serve Illustrae, she must become a drow?
No.
Ah.
There are humans who worship Illustrae. There's a gnome I know of who worships. There are sprites who worship. No. I'm just saying, she did not seem fully comfortable in her moon elf form, as if she has not mastered it yet.
Well, to be fair, she's only been a moon elf for like 36 hours so far.
Then she's doing pretty good.
I had help. I had some instruction, some very personal instruction.
The owner's manual, if you will.
And
Oh my.
she'll pause a moment. Actually, that's kind of the teacher I was hoping to find again.
So you know all about the plumbing, says Kalue, and then she
Yeah.
smiles at you, and a tongue that is a little longer than a human tongue darts out and goes, and then darts back in again.
That's who I was hoping to find in Skullport, actually.
My
Well-
lady, have you seen this face before? Pointed at Allie. Maybe a little shorter, but otherwise very
Well, no,
similar.
same height, gray eyes.
Oh, that's right.
My eyes are purple, hers are gray. That's the
Yeah.
big difference.
Ah, well, if I was going to be offensive, I would say something like, "Oh, all moon elves look the same," but that would be truly offensive and crude. So I won't say that, but I will say that I haven't noticed someone who looks exactly like that before. But that does not mean I did not see them and not remember or realize.
No, so
Have
Illimer
you-
hasn't made her way around to
Yes.
this part of the
Have you
the
heard of-
realms yet.
Have you heard of the Fox at Twilight?
Oh yes, somewhat infamous.
That's the
Um,
face I'm wearing.
Ah, so when I hear tell of certain strong, manly male warriors who flourished in Waterdeep, who were led astray, and whom they ended up pining for ardently, you're wearing them. Yeah, I could see how that would work. Yeah, I'm going to say even more strongly, you should master that form.
Trying. I think at this point she is actually probably blushing furiously and just like, oh my god, I am trying.
Well, it's not what's under the hood; it's what you do with it. And there are similarly, I probably have that Earth expression wrong, but hopefully you get the gist. Right. Shall I bring Laurel back? She wants to spar with somebody inside somebody's head some more.
Before you do that, was there a move afoot to try to get a moment alone with the party? Because I also recall you talked about that before the break.
I mean, so it seems like sort of things are sweeping us along. So
Well,
if
if we
it
need to
does-
converse, we can probably still do it, though.
Don't let me sweep you along. Please. I can go back around the corner and have a drink with my sister. I don't want you to feel swept.
Whatever you need, Rhiannon.
All right, well, let's she's going to hold out her hands to whoever's nearest.
Yep.
Join the group chat.
Lady
Chat.
Kilway, a moment, if you will.
And she says, "A moment." And she drains her goblet, salutes you with it, and backs around the corner.
Excellent.
You're now alone in the room.
Excellent. Thank you.
Okay,
Go ahead.
join hands. She might still
Alright.
be able to hear us, but hopefully she's not listening in.
I mean, I'm not going to worry about it too much.
All right, so what are we thinking?
I think she can't get us home as easily as she's claiming. Witness the excuses that popped up when I actually took her up on it.
I think you might be right.
So I am very loath to give up an opportunity, however. Even if she did, it sounds like we need to make our choices and do it all in one batch. Rather than sort of like sending one person back and then later somebody decides to join them or whatever.
Yeah, I got the sense she thinks we have unfinished business here, and some of us do. Either that, or she thinks we're here for a reason. Like there's something else we have to do, you know?
My Mark thinks I have unfinished business, but that doesn't mean I do.
I don't want you to be controlled by the mark, Rhiannon. Like,
yeah, I know. Like, people keep saying that. I'm like, I want to do this. And people are like, don't be controlled. I'm like, are you listening to me?
No. Let me clarify. I trust you, Rhiannon. You say this is what you want. This is what you want. I believe you. I want you to be sure. That's all.
I am absolutely 1000% sure, to sound like a bad reality show contestant, because they're always saying like 300%. Let's just go to 1,000. I'm an infinity % sure, to sound like an 8-year-old.
Okay. I believe you, and I will continue to operate on that assumption that you want to go home as soon as possible.
There's no place like
But it sounds like we kind of need to go to Waterdeep.
It does sound like that.
And but I am not in favor of chaining outward from Waterdeep to yet another place to do another thing.
Yeah.
Like, before we leave Waterdeep, I think we come back here and we say put up or shut up. About the trip home.
Okay.
Is what I want to do.
All right. Yeah, I suggest we try and get in contact with Chris the Grey and see if he can get us home. If he can, or if he has some insight that we need to know, then we follow up on that. And if that turns up dry, then yeah, we should definitely come back and see if we could do that. Also, Laryl is a very powerful wizard, and if Kilway can't get us home, Laryl and the damn Blackstaff can definitely get us home, assuming they don't actually
try to kill us,
decide to use us. Well, or try to kill us. I hadn't even thought of that. I wonder why.
So we're gonna go back, and I'm gonna fade into the effing background because Laryl can't touch me. Just trust me on that.
Fair.
Is that,
all right.
Is that something your voice told you?
We can get into it later. Just like, and it's let's not be obscene about it, okay?
Yeah.
Like oh, stand back and or anything like that. I'm just going to be in the background. I'm just saying, so you guys don't sort of like do the kind of like everybody should talk thing,
Take a passive observational role.
Oh, yeah, and like cards on the table, I will admit that it was my voice who suggested that I could probably encounter Illyra again in Skullport. She could teach me more things, like shadow dancing.
Oh, yeah, that too.
That's why I wanted to go.
Don't worry. I will make sure Laryl doesn't hurt us, or I will die trying. Probably I'll die trying, but let's try and keep it from getting to that point.
Let's try not to die at all. I prefer you not die
again.
What
sort of a monster do you people think Laryl is?
I agree.
Yeah.
So if I understand the second edition Paladin rules correctly, my holy sword only dispels evil magic, and Laryl's not evil, so we got to be careful here.
So
okay.
Just to kind of understand where we're at. I know Rhiannon wants to go home. I think Allie wants to stay. Joel, I think, possibly wanted to stay. I can't remember. And then you have a quest to take care of Gedrin.
Put him on the right path.
Put him on the right path. And there's the two tiefling babies. So let's say that tomorrow we run into Chris the Grey, or Lyra says, I'll send you home. Are we saying Rhiannon will just go home, and then Allie and Joel will continue on in the realms, and then like you, Eric, like would you at that point say, well, I'm going to trust that Gedrin is going to be fine and go home? Or so I'm just wondering, like, if we hit that point, is there a nobody goes home until we're sure everybody is okay? Or is it like that Allie is in a place where she can continue safely, Joel's in a place where he can continue safely, Eric, you feel you've done what you need to do before you can leave? Or are we going to, like, if there's an escape hatch, whoever wants to go at that moment takes it?
I say, if there's an escape hatch, take it. If you want to
Yeah.
go, take it. Don't worry
Yeah.
about the rest of us.
Yeah, I just
Those of us staying, I mean.
It's a difficult question, Randy. Okay,
I'll
so
be
in
fine.
that scenario, if we encounter somebody who can send us home, then yes, anyone who wants to go home should go home immediately. I agree. My job is to make sure that all of you who want to get home, get home. And once that's done, then I'll go myself. And I do have a duty to Gedrin. You know, and my obligation to him is moral, ethical, and creative. Okay? So we gotta make this happen. But that's my problem. If
Yeah.
Rhiannon gets the opportunity to go home, she should go home. I got you into all of this mess.
Yeah.
Okay? So I feel obligated, and I have sworn to get you home, and I will. So that's how things are going.
And as far as I'm concerned, even if I haven't made my home in the realms yet, I am home.
Allie is on the path to self-enlightenment and happiness. I am very glad. So there's no reason that Allie's going to go home. What about you, Randy? Are you staying or are you going? What's your plan?
I don't know.
You
If someone
decided?
said tomorrow, oh, yeah, I can transport you home. I don't know. I'm kind of having fun. So, you know,
I mean,
you can
my
do,
mind's like,
I got powers now. That's kind of
Yeah.
cool. I got, you know, get to like do all the things that, you know, I'm growing up. I read fantasy as an escape from reality, because reality kind of sucked. And then now reality doesn't suck. I have a really, really good life in the real world, but, you know, but to get to play out the fantasy, I don't know. It's hard to like give that up.
I understand. So you haven't decided.
I haven't decided. I think
Okay.
I do want to go home at some point. I don't know that I would take, like, if someone said tomorrow, here you go home. I feel like, but what I just wanted to make sure that everything on this side of the portal is taken care of to my satisfaction.
I'll say
basically.
this to you, Randy, as well. You were the
Yeah.
only one from this entire group who got tapped on the shoulder by some entity that was not resident in the marks that you all bore, that told you that there was something bigger than all of the things that these little fellows cared about. So
Right.
just keep that in mind too.
Hey man, I've met your wife, and I can tell that you're gonna come back with some really cool stories for her, and I
Yeah.
think that's great. So, you know, it's fine. Okay, you don't have to decide yet. I don't want to pressure anybody to decide before
Yeah.
time is due. We've been having this conversation all in our heads, right?
Mhm.
Okay.
That is correct.
I wanna turn back to Rhiannon for a second. So, Rhiannon, I suspect that your voice fucking hates me. That's it. That's our one.
That's our
for
one.
this
There it
episode.
is. That is our one.
I think it was appropriately used.
Oh darn.
I would agree.
And I'm not sure how we should handle this. Like, should I continue to seem like that fool so as to make the voice continue to hate me and focus on me? Because
I mean,
you are my
it's-
priority, not
much more pissed about Laryl.
okay.
Uh,
Well, if
It's-
you ever go on.
I mean, so its thing is that it wants me in charge, and like it hates anything democratic about decision making.
I get it.
And so, like, as long as I get my way, I think it's gonna stay more or less quiescent, which is not
Okay.
to say that, like, if I'm totally going off the deep end, that y'all have to like just give in or something. But
Mhm.
like that's its thing.
Okay.
So
All right.
That and it seems to have an obsession with those babies.
yeah, I mean, so the babies seem like its current purpose for me. So
is it a collector?
no,
Is it
no, the babies have to be somewhere eventually, so they can't die in the meantime. So the surest way to ensure that is to have like them under our eyes. And I don't think it would like fry my brain if I left them somewhere safe, because that also accomplishes the same thing. The only thing would be if I thought it was safe and it didn't. For instance, I think that it would like make me a vegetable if I tried to like hand them to Laurel or something.
Okay. All right. Let's not do that.
I wouldn't do that anyway.
Yeah, I don't want. No, that's not a good idea anyway. Let's not. There are lots of reasons we shouldn't do that. My primary concern is that I don't want it to hurt you in any way. Okay. All right. I'm going to trust your judgment on how to deal with the voice. If at some point you need me to change my behavior or do something in particular, please let me know. And you're in a pickle. and yeah, obviously. We all are, but yours is particularly bad. So we'll get through this. We got this. I can make it real pissed at me if you need it to get, be distracted, or I can, make it pleased and happy by, me, I played so many characters over the years. I could do this. And I know you can do this too. So we can handle this.
Let's not take too long. So I'm gonna take my hands out of the group chat so that we can go on.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm glad we just vibed there for a bit. Should we call them back in?
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm kind of worried. Like, should one of us go and find them? I'm kind of worried what's in that back room.
I'll go. Crying out loud.
Again, it's like great buddy cop.
Wait, come back.
I'll get up and I guess I'll just carry it with me because I still have the sheath rapier with me because I left the belt.
You don't have a belt for it.
I don't have a belt. I'm wearing a sundress.
So you're carrying your phallic symbol, and
I will walk back there, I guess.
Okay, you walk around the corner, and what you see is the reddish walls of this sort of tunnel make a sort of reverse S-curve out into another room. And the other room looks like a very, very nice dappled sunlight forest glade. And in this forest glade, there are two trees on either side with huge, strong boughs stretching out. And from them are hanging two, well, they would be swings, except they seem to be really, really nicely sculpted chairs. And sitting in one is Kalue, and sitting in the other is Laurel. They both have their boots off, and their feet are stuck in the other one's lap. So they're both sitting, facing each other, with their feet in each other's laps, and they're both sipping from large goblets. And they look up and say, "Oh, good. You done?"
Yeah. Yes, my lady. We're done.
Right. So they both untwine their feet backwards, and there's a little bloop of sparks as their feet hit the floor. They're both wearing boots again, just like that. And they set their goblets down on their seats, which continue to gently swing with them not in them. And they stroll with you and said, "Right, let's talk to your friends, because there's certain things I think we have to tell them."
Agreed. Thank you. And she'll walk with them back to the other room.
So, there's things you should know. And one of them is you going back to Earth. And Kalue just gestures at Laryl. And Laryl says, "Now, you've probably been warned," and she looks straight at you, Rhiannon. "You've probably been warned that I'm, gonna lie here. No, I'm gonna tell you the truth. The truth is, it's gonna take a lot of power to get you directly back to Earth in a hurry now. And I'm going to have to ask for permission, and it's probably not going to be given. And here's why. If we take you back now, you will arrive back at the present time on Earth, which is different from ours and is in your past. You will be there, and so will be you, living lives on Earth. So, does the Earth explode? Do you get ripped apart into other dimensions? Do one set of you blow up? Do one set of you turn into horrible monsters? There's one way to find out, but we probably don't want to find out.
That does complicate things.
My lady, are you saying that there are other versions of us on the Earth currently?
Depending on when you return to the Earth, the answer to that is very much yes.
And you said you had to ask permission. Do you mean from the Lady of Mysteries?
Yes.
I see.
Because it's going to take that level of power. And I mean, there are other combinations of divine power we could call upon, but that just means more permission. There are slower ways. There are portals and so on. They involve travel, and they all have their guardians and so on. But if you just want me to whisk you back to Earth right now, that is what we'd have to wrestle with, and that is why I am reluctant to do so. And Laryl looks again at Rhiannon and says, "So, find the lies in that. I challenge you."
The
It
devil.
isn't so much a lie as it is an incomplete truth. And I suspect that that's because she simply doesn't know. It finds that funny.
So, am I to understand then that if we say we found one of these portals and bested its guardian, would that present the same problem of the rest of those of us who wish to return home, returning home in what is essentially our past?
I don't know. It depends on the portal. There is so much of this we do not know because time moves at different rates in the different worlds within the sea. Which is one of the reasons that deities who exist in more than one world, and Laryl looks again at Rhiannon, but doesn't say anything else, find it so hard to conquer all of those worlds because they can't operate freely in all of them at once. It's proves something of a bother to certain deities. And I would probably encounter similar but lesser complications if I tried to directly contact Chris the Grey at this moment. It's probably better for him that you not ask me to do so. Just saying. Now, what I can do, I can whisk you to Waterdeep. That is within my power. I can even put you up at a quaint little, what's the Earth term? Safe house in Northward, for as long as you wish. And Kalue says, "I already said they could stay here, sister." Laryl looks back and says, "They can stay in both places. We can whisk you back and forth." we can even set it up so that you get into the right closet in the manor, and you'll be where, sister? And Chloe says, oh, I always think over there in the robing room. And she's pointing out of her private quarters. So the robing room there, the one beside the large garderobe. You know, the one we use for parties. Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, so you could step from the robing room into the manor. You could step from the manor into the robing room. We have better wine here, says Chloe.
I like this idea.
You see, part of the thing of being, servants of divinities is you get a lot of power to throw around. The bad thing is you can never use it the way you want to. Hence, my not being able to whisk you back to Earth without a lot of complications. You see, you think you've got all this power, and what you basically have is the power to fly around and wear cloaks and spandex, and then when you want to actually do anything, there's a complication. This is called life. Not to be too philosophical about it. So again, the choices are yours.
Finish.
Yeah, the choices are yours.
The mark is, I guess the word I would use is gloating, right? It seems very happy in your head, just sort of like in its tone. I'm surprised. Ask Myrune what she knows about those here from Earth. Let's see which one of us knows more.
Myrune? What? Sorry, I didn't follow.
Am I pronouncing that correctly, Ed?
What?
Myroune?
Yeah.
Myrune?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. So, yes, that is a name she thinks is a secret.
So much for fading into the background.
You could ask one of us to ask.
Think about the sin we're dealing with here, Rhiannon.
There's that. Well, it was the one telling me don't turn my brain into a battleground. I was just following directions.
Oh,
it said don't let her in.
Rhiannon, says Laryl. You already have. Just like Allie here, you risked your immortal soul. To put it in the religious context. Yeah, but you obviously are comfortable with doing so. So
I signed no deals.
No pacts. Good.
Yeah, no pacts for me either.
Try not to bleed anywhere near where there's parchment. Okay, just saying.
Oh my god.
So who is Myrune? She's gonna look right at Laryl.
Yes. Who is Myrune? Yeah. The voice inside your head wants to taunt me, right? Or do they really want to know?
At least mine's quiet.
In that I lost like what the question was that I was supposed to be passing on. But
you were supposed to ask what Myrune in this case being Laryl,
knows about the others from Earth.
Knows about the others from Earth.
Well,
okay. Now, are you going to ask that?
Supposedly this person knows more about others from Earth who are here.
Well, here's the thing. I am less interested in pissing contests than your master. And
passenger, hitchhiker, maybe.
Very good. I accept the correction. Right. Here's the thing. I know more than your passenger thinks I do. Your passenger is, of course, fishing to find out what I know in hopes that I will reveal stuff that your passenger does not know. Suffice it to say that every servant of Mystra, or for that matter, every servant of Azuth, knows where all of the human creatures that are still alive or undead that came from Earth are in the realms right now. Not all of them human, not all of them what you would call sentient, though they all are in their own way. And there's several thousand of them, but if they're interested only in adventurers such as yourselves, let's use it that way, we're talking 20 that are still alive and kicking. I don't think I should be more specific than that. As I say, if your passenger is fishing for information, they come to the wrong place, because I'm fresh out of fish. Fish nets, I can give you. Fish? No. Although if I wear my fish nets long enough, there will no doubt be fish in them. But, in the meantime, I wouldn't not want to be fishes. So, we'll just, what's the point of this contest what's the point? Okay, I know where there are quite a few beings who came from Earth. Many of them do not wish to be found. So we preserve the polite fiction that we have not found them.
Do you know where to find Chris the Grey?
No. Precisely, no. I can tell you, he's in the Sword Coast North somewhere. He's not in Waterdeep. And he is busy. And I don't wish to say that as a put-off, but then again I do. Because he's busy with something for me.
He's on a mission for you, my lady.
No, not on a mission. He is accomplishing something for me or at my behest. It is not a mission. It is. What is it? What is it they watch on your goggle boxes? Home improvement shows. He is home improving himself.
Could you find out where he is?
I could leave the room if that would help.
I could get closer to him, but let me a moment. And she literally does this and goes, "No, not at this time." More than to say that he is north of here and not near.
Do you anticipate his return at any soon time?
He is a free-willed being. That is up to him. Unlike certain other deities, whom you may encounter, those of us who serve Mistra are generally free to come and go, and generally free to do their own thing, to follow their own weird, to be their own person, man.
The transition from Mistral to Mistra must have made such a huge difference. Anyway,
well, yeah, it was sort of like, okay, I do not know what the depths of your life experience. Let me just say that if you ever knew twin sisters fighting over each other's clothes, who gets to wear what, that was pretty close to it.
Yeah, we're on like second Mistra now.
Oh, you have no idea. Because you see, each new Mistra, by pulling Mistra's silver fire out of the anchors, gets echoes of the old Mistras in them. So it gets crowded in there.
I can imagine.
Yes.
I mean, I've got one thing in my head, and it already feels fairly crowded as it stands.
Yes.
The real
fortunately,
Mestra.
I have no one in my head.
Hopefully theirs doesn't keep trying to sleep with them.
It sounds to me as though the answer is I know more. And what's more, there's this. If you want to find this Chris the Grey badly enough, I can help you find him.
Oh.
Well, I guess try is a bit of a misnomer.
What's
A
the price?
There is no price. You just have to ask me and cooperate with the methods that I employ to try to do so.
That sounds like a price.
They won't be overly difficult ones, but we may need to bribe or threaten in order to gain the information.
Here comes the virgins and the knife.
I'll keep that under advisement.
Well, like I said, if you need time to sort these things out, the Promenade is your home for as long as you wish it, and so is a certain safe house in North Ward. It rejoices in the name of Trollskull Manor.
That's
Skull
metal.
Manor.
That's metal as hell.
Yeah.
A question, Lady Silverhand, if you would not mind.
I never mind questions. I have no
Or
secrets.
Lady Villadorn, of course.
I have even fewer, but go right ahead.
So say that we are searching for another person, one Fox at Twilight. Would you happen to have any means of finding such a person?
If I recall, Elric, you saw to it that she's a very difficult person to find.
I have seen to that, yes. But occasionally I think of the happiness of others.
Okay, let me answer this in two ways. Should Fox and Twilight use particular magic items or particular spells, I can find her instantly. That would require her, by happenstance, doing so. The rest of the time, I cannot find her, but I could put out, what is your Earth term? The bat signal? I could put out
That's good. Yeah, that works.
Yeah, I could put out a magical thing that would indicate to her, should she see it, that certain people are looking for her. What I do not know, and I would need your aid in crafting, is how, by a symbol, we indicate where you want her to go and who you are who are waiting for her. Because, if you send the wrong thing, she may decide to hide, not come.
That's what I was thinking.
Well, I suppose it's just her own face, really.
And so do you want me to send a vision of her
That
own
she is
face?
looking for herself. I think she'll understand what we mean.
Okay, that would work as an alert. Where do you want her to go? And the warning is, if I send this, so for instance, it flashes across the sky of, say, the Sword Coast North, like cloud writing, and she looks up and sees her face, and then the face moves into a recognizable place. Are you not telling everybody who sees that, hey, we want you to go here?
That seems very unsubtle of you, my lady.
I am nothing if not unsubtle.
All right. Never mind.
I just have curves and a sultry voice.
I mean, if we can move back and forth freely, I could just do what was suggested to me in the first place. Which was to go to a specific locale in Skullport. The Dark Dancer, I think.
Mm-hmm.
That was where I was
While
told.
you while you will not have heard of that at Greenwood, I always get her name wrong, Kalue, will
Yes.
have heard of the Dark Dancer. It's a den of vice of the most decadent sort.
Oh, lovely. I want to go already. No.
You could have just said it was a tavern in Skullport. And that,
Pardon,
anyway,
Fest Hall.
a fest hall in Skullport. Yeah.
Ah, okay. Well, if it's a fest hall in Skullport, there will be no lineup to get in because so many people will be being propelled bodily out the various windows and doors that there's never too much. Okay.
That's part of the experience.
Well, unfortunately, it was my passenger who suggested I might be able to find her by going there.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
So-
we did drive her out of Westgate.
Well,
No, I mean, like, not entirely us, but, we helped.
we helped her escape.
Sure. Yeah, exactly.
And Kalue says, well, being as it is a place known to me, I could, and she does this, just send you there. The question is, do you want to appear as a group in front of it? Being as we were speaking of being unsubtle, do you want to appear as a group in it? If so, where? The kitchens, the garderobe? Some people take exception to large groups of armed people suddenly appearing right behind their back when they thought
That's
they were
true.
alone.
How close is this troll house?
I mean, that would be up in Waterdeep.
Yes, it's
Oh,
it's probably about 300 feet above us at the moment, and that way.
Okay.
and that's the question. If we go there, how do we get back?
You step through the closet, you're here.
Okay.
How from here is Skullport?
It's right out there. And she points towards the wall. Skullport is not far.
That's good at least. That means we could, if we needed to, retreat. That said, I'm the only one who has an interest in going there. I know that the others probably want to get to Waterdeep, and she'll kind of look at
Is
everybody
your
else.
interest purely to learn how to shadow dance, or was it something more? I'm sorry, I can't. Do you
I
have
mean,
some personal? Do you
it's-
want to resolve with Illyra?
It's both things.
Okay.
I just like to watch.
Then
Elric.
there couldn't be a substitute, as what I was saying. Like
It's just-
we couldn't just ask see if there was someone here who
It's
could
like
teach you to
Elric.
shadow dance.
Just glaring at,
I'm just doing my best to keep a straight face. I will make a roll. Or I rolled a 12. I don't know.
That's on the bounce. You're gonna have to on the bubble. You're gonna have to decide whether you keep a straight face or not.
Let's see. So I'm going to assume that this is a saving throw of some kind. Ooh,
I just look at-
petrification polymorph. That seems like the right one. Okay, 12 is my DC. So yeah, I made it. I was
You're
like,
good.
I don't know. I don't know what Elric's obsession is with this stuff.
with you being happy? Gee, I wonder.
You have a strange definition of me being happy.
Yeah, okay.
There's a little pop of blue sparks from the two ladies, and Kalue is now eating popcorn out of a very tiny cup.
Oh my god. Really though, you misunderstand what drives me. You seem to know where I'm being driven, but you never seem to understand why. Elric.
Is it something you can share with us, or is that for a private conversation, or something?
Well, it's
I've-
just I'm not you, right? I don't know what's
No,
inside
but I've
your head.
explained it to you. I've
Okay, well,
explained it to you before.
clearly not in a way I understood.
Oh dear. Oh
You-
dear.
you
says
act
Laryl.
like-
Laryl says to Kalue, he's another one of these people who thinks you have to understand life.
Oh shit. Oh god, she's got my number.
Like, you really, like you seem to think that I'm being driven by some like by that Happy is what? Getting laid again? Sleeping with Illyra again?
I mean, okay, how about you tell me what would make you happy?
One, that's what I'm trying to figure out. Two, I've explained this to you. I know. It's because I understand the pain that she's dealing with and the trauma that she's struggling through, and I want to try to help. That's my drive. That's why I'm doing this.
Okay.
Because I at least understand that she's not the villain that a lot of people make her out to be. Yes, she can't be trusted. I get that. But, like, I've said it before, everyone deserves someone who believes in them.
Absolutely.
And you believe in her. I know this about you, Allie. I know you. I'm just
every time you make it about sex, you cheapen it. Because it's not what it's about. I don't care.
Sex.
You kind of are. Like, a little bit. A little bit.
All right. Fine. I'll take that note.
Thank you.
Okay. Honestly, we
I'm
should
done.
probably...
I'm done now.
Good. We should probably stop in front of the two chosen and Mistra here.
I look over. I don't know. They seem to be enjoying
just them?
themselves.
This is to you, Rhiannon. In front of just them or others too?
You ain't getting nothing out of me.
Well, and
A
Illyra is
lesson
someone who
that
has
perhaps
lots of...
your friend should learn.
I'm so looking forward to smiting that asshole. Gonna stay in the realms long enough to smite that asshole. All right. Allie, I'm sorry. I do not mean to pressure you or change or try and meddle with all of this. It's complicated and messy, and I apologize.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I accept the apology. But, like, that thing earlier where you were, making jokes about that invitation I got from the priestess and asking if this was a new romantic interest. I'm like, that's not what I'm after.
A joke. That wasn't a joke. I'm trying to. All right, you know what? Let's talk about this later.
Yeah, I think we're done right now.
Okay. My ladies, I am a fool and I apologize.
I think you're unmuted.
Never apologize for being a fool. Everyone in the world is. You've just realized it. I put you up on most of us.
You give me too much credit.
Here, have a drink. And she steers a goblet into your hand.
Yep.
I could definitely go for a drink right now.
And she steers a goblet into your hand. And don't worry, they're safe. And a goblet floats over towards Rhiannon and hovers there, and one hovers in front of Randy. They're quite safe.
Okay.
And when you sip, it's the nicest wine you've ever had. It's absolutely lovely.
Well, I suppose.
So you'll have some then?
Yeah, I'll have some.
Okay. Fair enough.
You made that seem like a very consequential decision.
I was just asking. I didn't think Rhiannon was, and so that's why I was just confirming that.
Rhiannon is tired, so it's fine.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
All right. So, is there anything else that you need to talk to Kilue or Laryl about within this conversation?
I am good.
I personally have so many things that I'd love to talk to them about, but we don't have to take up screen time with all of it. So
ask me one, says Laryl. You've waited so long, Eric. Ask me one.
So, is it true what they say about Kelvin?
His staff is not black.
Okay.
All
right.
Yeah,
I will make sure Steven knows.
Is that what you wanted to know?
Yes, because I wanted to have an excuse to email Steven about it.
Oh, okay. Well, okay. Kelvin Blackstaff Aronson is basically James T. Kirk of the Starship Enterprise. In other words, he will break all the rules to get where he wants to get. He's an end justifies the means. And he doesn't suffer fools gladly, which is the source of all of the tickle and slap between us.
So what you're saying, my lady, is that I should avoid him at all costs.
That would probably be wise.
Yeah, all right. That's what I thought.
Yeah,
Okay.
But
understood.
I can take the hits for you.
Mm.
I can be your Oliver North.
You really
Arcane.
did meet Ed Greenwood, and you did meet him in the late 80s.
Yeah, I was just gonna say arcane 1986 reference
Yeah.
incoming.
Yeah.
All right.
I have one last request. It will not take long. Since I do have an interest in following the Dark Maiden, do you have like, I guess not holy symbols, but like, I don't know, a necklace or something?
Oh, certainly. And Kalue reaches to her own neck, unclasps a necklace with a tiny figure of a nude drow female, about this tall. And wait, there's the camera.
Yeah, I was just gonna say
About
we
this
couldn't,
tall.
couldn't see your fingers.
Yeah. And as she hands it to you, that figure moves like this. All the limbs move.
Oh.
This is yours.
Oh. Thank you.
And when you put it on, are you going to put it on?
Mhm.
You're going to touch your flesh with it? Cool.
Yes.
It feels warm and tingling, and you don't feel at all tired. You feel alert. And
Thank
she
you.
says, "Be welcome, always."
Just tearing up again.
Oh.
Good. All right, so Rhiannon, do you have anything else that you want to say, or are you doing that fade into the background thing quite admirably well? All right, excellent. Okay, so then I believe, Ed,
Hmm?
how would we end this conversation?
Well, it's probably best that Kalue just conjure up a meal for you all, and you all have a nice meal, and then there are beds waiting at the Promenade, or Kalue can take you to Troll Skull Manor, or wherever you want to spend the night. But it's time to end with a feast, and then a rest, and give you time to think, and
And
time
get spoil points back.
Yeah, and time
Is this a-
for still small inner voices to go, well, that didn't go well.
Is this a feast worthy of a hero? Like a hero's feast?
Would you like a hero's feast? Because, hey, these drow know how to party.
They do.
You-
it's
You
true.
can have all sorts of, like, the one thing that drow of the Promenade have mastered, they have wine that is almost like soup, and soup that's almost like wine. In other words, you can have it warm and savory and filling, as well as cool and slaking. You just choose. It makes having meals. Oh, and their desserts. Holy crap, they're desserts. They're really good at little tiny things about this big that are just flavor explosions. So they're like little tiny cream puffs, and you put them on your tongue, and then just pull your tongue into your mouth, and boom! So if any of you remember that feeling when you first crushed a Pop-Tart, sorry, the sugar tarts, not the things you put in a toaster, in your mouth, and it doesn't taste of that sweet, but the thing where it just suddenly overwhelms, that's what they do with their desserts. And you can also have live snake and eel, should you wish.
Should we wish?
Or you can do what several of the senior priestesses will do, which is they'll catch little lizards off this bowl of little lizards and eat the legs off them one at a time. So it's all what floats your boat.
That perhaps is the ideal Ed Greenwood quote.
Well, I try and float all boats.
Yes, fair enough. A rising tide does that. That's my understanding. Yes. So, all right. So you'll offer them a feast, and you collectively need to just make the decision of: do you want to spend the night here? Do you want to be whisked away to Waterdeep to spend the night there? What is your desire? We need to make that decision before we end our session for tonight.
Let's stay in Promenade tonight and then go to Waterdeep tomorrow.
Sounds
I'm
good.
fine with that.
Yep, I'm fine with that too.
Okay, so then you can put them to bed, Ed.
Da, 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 da. Oh, wait a minute. Maybe you don't want me doing that.
Fair point. Fair point.
Yeah,
Great.
yes.
Are we still doing phrasing? Okay, so anyway.
Yeah, but if you want Kalue and Laryl to do that, yes.
Sorry, yeah, just
One of the
clearly
things
what
they
I
can
meant.
do is magically tuck you in. I mean, you can get like nice warm blankets that just sort of appear and descend over you. And if you're the sort of person who wants your feet out to be cool, all that stuff, it can all be custom done.
It's good to be a chosen. I think that's our
Yeah.
takeaway.
Yeah, it's good to be a chosen.
Yeah.
As a very tall person, I appreciate a blanket that is long enough to cover my feet.
You bet. You bet. And if you want foot rubs, hey, you're in the temple. The priestess will rub your feet.
Oh, dang.
And in a meta irony, my blanket has the cartoon Dungeons and Dragons on it. That's weird.
I
Like,
do think. Well, I don't expect us to get to it because I know we're gearing up for the end here. But I know Amara did have plans that evening.
That's true.
Oh.
That's true.
Oh, well,
All right.
just tell one of the priestesses, and if it's something she can help with,
Well, his plans with one of the priestesses.
Yeah, that's right.
She was invited to observe her candle dance.
sure. Why
Yeah,
not?
that sounds great.
You're a guest.
We'll pick
So-
pick that one up at our next session, however.
Amara,
good to me.
Amara
Yeah.
just takes her leave and
Yep,
yeah,
she slips
pick
off.
that up.
All right, so Ed, it has been once again my great pleasure to have you join us. It was fantastic to have you play a couple of the Chosen. It has been my lifelong dream to see you do that, so I'm pleased. I'd say I can die happy now, but I plan to live forever. So
No, live forever.
It really
Lichdom
does.
awaits.
Can confirm.
Lichdom awaits, yeah. But yeah, it was fun. I don't look much like the Seven. That's the problem. It's like, but yeah. Anytime you want a return engagement with these ladies,
Mhm.
they will go to their neutral corners and come out swinging.
Well, I'll keep that in mind, Ed. I'll keep that in mind. All right. So on that note, however, we will end our session for tonight, and we'll pick it back up with our internal and external chatter and the NPC interaction with Allie. I think there's probably another NPC you want to probably ask some questions about that came up tonight at our next session. So again, thank you all for joining us. And Eric, I hand it back over to you.
Thank you for coming along with us on this Isekai Realms journey. I have been Eric Scott to be playing Elric Thalavar, the paladin who tries his best but often makes mistakes. And I think it's important to remember that when you make mistakes, you can take accountability and still apologize and fix things. Okay, we're all human. We all make mistakes. That's totally okay. You won't lose your paladin powers if you screw up. This is me telling that to Chris, just reminding him not to take away my paladin powers for screwing up occasionally.
That all comes down to deliberate versus accidental, buddy.
Correct. Take it away, Allie.
Hi, everybody. I am Alexander Pitchford, or Allie for short, and I played Amara Valyrian. a name that is increasingly becoming her preferred method of address while present in the realms. So that's been fun. I am a writer, game designer, and TTRPG streamer. You can find work of mine in anthologies from Outland Entertainment. You can also find more of my work, including some of those short stories, on my Patreon at patreon.com/AlexanderPitchford. Seriously, it's $1 for the basic tier that gets you basically access to everything. Please check it out. It's worth it. I promise. Yeah, that's it for me. I'm looking forward to next time, but thank you for joining us tonight.
I've been Rhiannon Held. Check out my books, Anthropological Werewolves in the Silver series under Rhiannon Held, Space Opera under RZ Held, the Amsterdam Institute series, beginning with Clean Install. Got snarky AI and spaceships and romance and adventure and all kinds of good stuff. Tonight, thank you to our moderators in the chat, whoever they may be.
I've been Randonius, as played by Green Edwood, and it's been a pleasure. Thank you all for...
I love that guy. And Ed, would you like to take us out?
Hey, thank you for having me. I love this Isekai realms. You make the realms come alive. Thank you very much. And
You're
that's
very
it
welcome.
from me.
High praise, good sir.
Much love, Ed. Much
All
love.
the love.
Thank you. Thank you. It's lovely.
Until next time, for the writers and gamers among us, may your word counts and your rolls be equally high.